What is up, crew? It's your boy Kaycem, and on today's video we're going to be talking about how to draw characters in perspective. I'll be explaining to you guys a couple of the things related to actually drawing the simple forms in perspective, as well as things like the horizon line, vanishing points, depth of field, and all of these crazy things to be able to draw multiple characters in a scene doing different types of poses. Now, if it's your first time here, welcome into the Kaycem crew. My name is Kaycem, and I'm a Filipino art streamer here on Twitch, teaching everything from anatomy, gesture, perspective, to all things related to character design, and I also work full-time in the animation industry for the studio that made Castlevania. So if you guys are interested in some free art education, some animation, or you just like my dog who is sleeping over there, make sure to leave a follow out here on Twitch, and if you haven't yet, like and subscribe this video if you're watching from YouTube. But all right, so let's go ahead and get started on today's video. Now, over here, I wanted to show you guys, first of all, this is what we're working with today. And I've already done some of the groundwork, but I want to show you guys where you can grab this worksheet as well for yourself if this is something you want to follow along with. And I actually highly encourage you guys to do follow along with this one, because this is it's a bit of a doozy, but I think once you start actually getting into it, you'll realize how much easier it is to do perspective. Now, this right here is the worksheet that we're working. We've got here 4 different characters, all sitting in the same scene at different elevations and different positions. I think this is a great reference to be tackling drawing characters in perspective. None of them are standing up, so this might be a little tricky for some of you since we haven't covered how to draw characters sitting yet, but I'll try to keep it nice and simple. Now, I've also given out here 2 other cheat sheets that I made last year. This one right here is kind of going to be covering how to draw characters in perspective, a compilation of stuff from Andrew Loomis's book. And then this one right here is just some foreshortening practice that I did, showing you guys how to take some of these simple forms and then turn these simple forms into more of the anatomical structures that you might know to be, you know, the human body and stuff. So again, these are free to grab, but they are only available while I'm live on Twitch. So if you are not watching live, come over here, come over to Twitch, join in, and yeah, you'll be able to grab all that free goodness out here. But all right, so let's go back in here now, and let's jump right into all the art and stuff. So what I wanted to talk about first, actually, and this is kind of a tricky one here, is I want to talk about some of the core basics of perspective. Now, we've talked about it in a previous video, which you guys can actually watch over on my YouTube channel. So I'm not going to go super in depth there, but I think I want to talk about some of the key things that I actually think are important when it comes to perspective. And it's not necessarily going to be stuff like vanishing points and fisheye lenses and 3-point, 2-point versus 4-point or whatever have you. This is definitely going to be just kind of the core basics of what I think is the most important. All right. With the first one there being actually something called the horizon line. Now, if you don't know what the horizon line is the equivalent of eye level. So whenever you're looking at anything right now, the eye level is where the horizon line is going to be. And anything above your eyes, anything below your eyes are going to have different perspective, right? So if you look up, anything above your eyes, you'll potentially see the bottom plane of. Anything you see that's below your eyes, you'll see the top plane of. So a simple example of this is going to be, for example, below this horizon line here, you can see the top plane of this box, okay? And then above it, if I were to draw a box, like let's just say, I'll do it on this layer because I have a little perspective tool there. You can actually see the bottom plane here of this box, right? So hopefully that part makes some sense. It's not going to be a little too complicated, I hope. This is kind of like the basics of perspective. We're not covering vanishing points too much yet. Now, I will say that all of these lines here are going to be converging. Right now on this example that I'm using, all of these lines will be converging to this little dot right here. You can kind of see it right there in the center. And this is going to be called 1-point perspective. Don't worry too much about that. Just know that some of these lines here that are perpendicular to the horizon line, all right, are going to be converging to this 1 point right here. You see that? Okay, and that's going to be the top line. All right, so not bad, not bad at all. But basically the other thing here that I think is going to be really important when it comes to understanding how the horizon line works and stuff is actually understanding how things change as you go further away from the horizon line, whether you're going up or down. Okay, so let me explain that really quick, and then we'll jump into the all character stuff and stuff. How do you get the free goodies? Yeah, go to the Discord channel. So you just type an ! Discord. There you go. And over there, just make sure you read the rules, and you'll find the resources. There's under the resources, and I have a bunch of commands too that you guys can take a look at. But yeah, Lucky Ducky, welcome back in. Gneum as well. Also, yeah, Dynamo, welcome in. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to chat and stuff. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for the follows too. Silva JR, Duda out here. We got here Pulch M, and everybody else coming in here today. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. It's going to be, again, a hefty topic. We're going to be talking about a couple of the groundwork first before we actually jump into drawing characters. But I think it's important. It's important to lay out some of these basic fundamentals before we jump into all the crazy details. Because if you don't know the fundamentals of these things, I feel like it can be a little tricky. Now, one of the other things here, again, I want to go back to talking about is actually this idea of how things will change depending on how far away it is from the horizon line here. Now, a good example of this actually is, imagine here you had let's just say you had a cylinder, right? You had a cylinder here that was kind of just facing kind of directly at us, or not directly, kind of perpendicular from us, right? And if you kind of wrap it around here, you can kind of see the top plane of the cylinder kind of curves this way, the bottom plane curves this way. All right, let me know in the chat so far if this is like super complicated, if I'm going too fast, or if this is okay. Yeah, let me know, because I'm gonna try to speed through a little bit of this so that way it's not too crazy. But yeah, hey, welcome in, lady Levine. Welcome into the Kaycem crew. Glad to have you on here. I know those emotes. That's Calypso's emotes. Okay, so you guys are good so far. Nothing too crazy, right? So basically, when you have a cylinder like this that's in perspective, notice again that when it's above the horizon line, you're going to have this kind of curved structure up here. And when it's below the horizon line, you're going to have it curving downward instead. Now, here's where things get a little interesting. So let's say I take this cylinder here, and I'm actually going to exaggerate it and make it a little bit bigger here. And let's start chopping up this horizon line a little bit more. The closer you get to the horizon line, like let's say right about here, right, the thinner you're going to be seeing this top and bottom plane. So you could imagine like right here, this is kind of the, what's it called there? The bottom plane of that cylinder. And this is just if we were to chop it up, right? Kind of go boom, boom. We made a little chopperoni right there. But here we go. As you kind of go further away from the horizon line, you're actually going to notice that this ellipse here that we're going to be seeing, this top plane, is actually going to get a little bit bigger. So why does this happen? Well, basically, as we start moving further away from the perspective, you'll actually see that you'll be seeing more of this down below. And this might be a hard concept to understand, because it was kind of hard for me to understand when I was first learning perspective. But I think if you can understand this will actually be a huge, probably one of the biggest things to understand when it comes to perspective. More important than like horizon line, or not horizon line, more important than like 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, because this will give you the idea here of how forms actually work in perspective. So again, as you move further away, you'll be seeing more of the top and bottom planes of your perspective. I might be exaggerating a little bit here, but for the most part, this is kind of the idea. All right. Now, the reason why this is important is you might be like, Kaycem, well, why would I be drawing cylinders like this? This is kind of weird, right? Well, here's why this is actually relevant. Now, if you were to take an arm, let's say, you know how we've been drawing arms on my streams and stuff, or maybe even legs, right? Let's just say we have a leg here in perspective. This is going to be where, this is right here going to be where that like pelvis is going to land, right? Let's say it's above the horizon line here, like so. Okay, we got all of that. Cool. Right? And then here, let's just say we have a leg that kind of goes this way. Like this. And then we got that leg kind of going this way, right? So let's say we have a leg here in perspective, like so. Now you'll notice that if we simplify this leg is basically just going to be a bunch of cylinders, right? So, for example, this ankle region right here, you could imagine it kind of curving down this way. right? And here's again, it's just a very simplified, very simplified leg, but you guys can kind of get the idea. And then here, as you kind of, move it down or move it up here, this leg kind of near the knee section right here, you could imagine there's going to be a cylinder for that. And so as you get further down in perspective, you'll be again curving these things out more and more, up until eventually you'll kind of have right here, you'll have it kind of going upwards as well too. So the reason why these cylinder things are important is because you can actually represent a lot of the human body, arms, legs, and stuff, either as cylinders, boxes, and so forth, which is actually what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be going over cylinders and boxes and how to kind of utilize that to create these human shapes here that we're seeing. So you can imagine right now, if I took like some contours here, right, just kind of wrapping around these forms of the leg, this is kind of what we're getting. Okay, so let me know if that made any sense, because I know, again, this is probably one of the more confusing things, I think, for beginners, which is kind of understanding here how things like cylinders and stuff will kind of curve away, or you'll see more or less of it the further away we get. All right. But yeah, hey, welcome in. Thank you for the follows. So many follows today. Lady Levine, Pansy Mion, also Woke Art Studio. Welcome into the Kaycem crew, and everybody else who's coming in here right now. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Good. Yeah. Good morning. Some of you guys are coming in here. Xneek, CK, Vandal, and everybody else who's here. Thank you for the follows as well. Ooh, that tea's hidden today. The tea's hidden today. Today's a very cozy day, I feel like. It was raining this morning, so I was like, okay, this is the vibe. But yeah, let me know, guys, if this portion made sense. Again, this is going to be roughly the demo here for just the general ideas of the shapes. But I don't want you guys to feel like super overwhelmed here as well. So let me know. Okay. Today's a cozy day. Oh yeah, for sure. This is cool. That's great to hear. Anime. Yeah, Anime Anji. Welcome in. You've been here for a few minutes. I'm already learning so much. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, by the way, I teach art out here on Twitch. That's primarily what I do. I cover a lot of different topics, all things related to character design. So yeah. All right. So we've got here, again, the vanishing point, or not the vanishing point. We have here the degree. So this is going to be called the degree of the ellipse. Okay. In this case of this cylinder. So don't worry too much about that terminology, but we're going to call it degree of ellipse. So the degree of the ellipse is not like a college degree or anything like that. It's actually how much do you see of, how much do you see of this ellipse here that we have, right? So you could imagine here, the further, or the closer we are to the horizon line, the less you're going to be seeing. The further away, the more you're going to see, up until a point where if you actually go all the way here, you can actually probably see way more of this horizon line, right? Or sorry, more of the ellipse down below. Cool. All right, so we've got all of that out the way, knocking it out. That's, I would say, probably this is probably the most complicated thing I wanted to cover today, because everything else now, we're going to go in here and just start drawing some characters out, and I'll start explaining to you guys how all of these things kind of work together. You saw my live on TikTok. I think someone was uploading a few clips, so I came to see if you were online. What? Wait, somebody was uploading me on TikTok? No way. I didn't know about that. That's super cool. I mean, yeah, thanks, I guess, to whoever's uploading me on TikTok. That's dope. Yeah, I'm TikTok famous. Damn. Maybe I should be posting on TikTok at this point. People are doing it for me. Hey, let me know if you're uploading my clips on TikTok. Let me know. Maybe we can work together on something, like, hey, I can probably do something like that. I got editors and stuff as well. I started talking about cylinder methods. I have one of those wooden models, but got frustrated because I didn't have perspective. I see. I think the more you are elevated, the more you can see under the shape. The more you are elevated, the more you can see under the shape. Yes? They better not be making money on you. That's theft. I mean, if they're putting the work on there to share my stuff and I'm not doing it myself, I think that's just on me, you know? I have really no control about what happens to my content on the internet. So if people post it, they post it, you know, it's kind of going to be like that. If there's anything I can do, it's just I can work with these people to say, hey, you know what? Why don't you work with me? I'll give you content directly and you can upload it for me. You know what I'm saying? That's like the best I can do. If people upload stuff, my content, that's just the internet, and that's going to be really hard to stop. So it's whatever in that regard. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, again, I can't change any of that, right? I can like try to find one person who does it, and then there's gonna be another person who does it. So the best thing I can do is just do it myself and do it better than everyone else because it's my own content, right? But anyways, let's go ahead here and let's go in now and actually start laying out some of the groundwork for drawing these characters out in perspective. So again, for those of you guys who are tuning in, this is the reference that we're going to be using today. I'm going to be showing you guys how to draw different characters here in perspective, laying out all these different components, and that way you'll be able to draw your own characters, hopefully, and do all of that. So yeah. And also, if you guys are new here, welcome again. My name is Kaycem. I teach out here on Twitch, and also I also work full time in the animation industry for the studio that made Castlevania. You apparently had 12.6 followers on TikTok. Yeah, I just don't use my TikTok anymore. But yes, I do have a TikTok account. It's just not something I actively care about. All right, so let's go ahead here. And I'm going to actually start working on now, drawing out some of these characters. So again, these are going to be the basics of perspective, right? Horizon line, understanding all of that. And then also understanding the, understanding here the degree of the ellipse as it changes. Now I'm going to go ahead and move this one kind of further up here because right now we're not worried too much about this. So I'm just going to leave it here and we'll move it back later. Do I ever use a full perspective grid? Sometimes I do. Not always, but yeah. If I find my account, I'll tell you, but it's probably someone making money over your clip and other artist clips. Oh, that's okay. It happens. Speaking of which, though, I do have a YouTube channel. If you guys are interested, you guys like the tutorial content that I'm doing out here. I do got the channel over there on YouTube where we upload a bunch of these different things. Now, okay, let's actually go in here now and let's talk a little bit about actually laying out these characters in perspective. Now, the first thing that I did here, by the way, is I actually laid out the ground plane that we're going to be working on. I always tell people that if you want to get good characters in perspective, the first thing, guys, that you want to do is lay the ground plane down. Now, you might be wondering, Kaycem, why is that so important? Well, let me ask you a question. How many of you guys in the chat have ever tried to draw a character, and the moment you try to put them in a scene or a background or whatever, you put them in perspective, for some reason the character looks like they're floating. They look like they're not actually part of the scene. Put an F in the chat if you've ever had that problem before. You're like, Kaycem, man, I don't know. It looks like my character is like a sticker or something. Like I slapped it on. It doesn't look like it's matching up. Maybe the feet are not looking right. The head's not looking right. So the first thing I always tell people is draw that ground plane here. Because if you can establish this ground plane right here, this is actually a lot of the hard work that kind of goes into drawing a character in perspective. And then from here, let's actually start laying out some of the characters that we've got on here too, okay? Kaycem be like, I'm probably making more money, so it's okay. I don't know. It's not necessarily like that. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'm making more money. It's more just like if I'm not doing it myself, then yeah, you know. But if I'm doing it and someone else is like, you know, resharing my stuff or whatever, like that's unfortunately the way of the internet. Like I've gotten a lot of my stuff reposted on Instagram from those like art share accounts, and you know they'll usually get more likes and views than whatever my account has, and that's like it sucks, but it's all right. It happens. So I'm not like super stressed about any of that stuff. I have my content here, and I got the core thing that people know and can find, which is this one right here. So let's talk about that actually. So now that we have a ground plane, how do we deal with actually having those issues with characters floating and all of that stuff? The best thing I could say is actually working from the ground up, like literally working from the ground up here, and actually starting to piece together and start laying out where the characters are going to be touching in contact with the ground that we have here. So this is going to be kind of what we're covering right now. So right now I'm going to be drawing this character, or this model I should say, first, and I'm going to be showing you guys how we're going to be laying out this model on the ground plane here. Wow, wait, what the heck? Thank you so much for all the follows today. Sheesh. Thank you for the follows. Juju, a wild bald spot appears. Oh shoot. Greshinator, Kuru, Benedict, Potty Maron, and everybody else who is coming on here right now, guys. Thank you so much. I don't know what's going on, but I appreciate it. Sheesh, so many follows. But yeah, welcome in everyone else who's coming in here too. Again, today's stream, guys, is going to be focused primarily on drawing characters in perspective. So it's going to be a little bit of a hefty stream, but I'll try to make it as easy as possible. Oh, thank you for the Prime sub, Captain Bay. Appreciate that. All right, so let's go in here and let's start laying out this first character. You'll notice here that I always try to focus on laying out where the characters are touching the points of contact. So here we have like this raised mat on this this reference here. So I'm gonna be laying out here just kind of where I want that pelvis to be, just kind of putting it down there. And then from here, let's kind of go in and let's actually maybe shrink her a little bit just to kind of, you know, give it some space there. But I'm gonna be going in and actually, you know what? I think we actually need to make this a little bit bigger. Let's see here. I kind of want to make this one bigger, actually. How should we do that? Let's see. Let me think about this. I think if we take this and the horizon line here, we take all of this and we make it all nice and big. Like that. I think that's going to be good. Yeah, that's okay. And then we'll just move this box. So I just wanted to give it more space so that way you guys can see. I'm not like drawing out like this tiny portion right here. So first of all, I'm going to be drawing out here again this kind of a contact point for the pelvis, and then I'm just going to kind of raise it up, right? We're just going to kind of say, okay, cool, here's going to be where that pelvis is going to land. And if you'll notice, whenever I'm drawing characters, I don't actually I'm not trying to, again, focus on trying to put all the lines on the horizon line and vanishing points and stuff. I'm using the two techniques that I told you guys about, which was one, the knowing how the horizon line works, and then knowing the degree of the ellipse and how that changes as you either go up or down, right? So here in this case, I'm not actually going to be laying out all the crazy lines. And this is actually how I want to teach you guys perspective, because when I first learned perspective, I was under the impression that everything had to be like a 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, and you couldn't deviate away from that. And so I ended up having a lot of stiff drawings whenever I drew things in perspective, whether if it was buildings or characters. In this case, I'm showing you guys that you don't actually necessarily need to know too much about, I mean, you should know about those things, but I think it's actually more important to just know about how the degree of the ellipse and stuff works. And then from there, kind of leverage that to be able to draw things in perspective. Now, I will talk a bit about 1 point and 2 point perspective probably later. But right now, let's just kind of lay out some of these characters here. And I'm starting again from the ground up and just kind of piecing together these simplified forms, these simplified structures, because I think this is going to be an easier thing to draw than to try to jump in and draw all the anatomy and details that we've got going on. Is this an anatomy lesson? So no, so today's stream is not anatomy. Today's stream is going to be focusing on drawing characters in perspective. We have other streams though where I do cover a lot of anatomy if you guys are interested, both on my YouTube channel and on Twitch. Really quick, by the way, guys, I do run ads on my stream every hour. One's gonna be running right about now. So if you do get an ad, thank you again for sticking around for the ad break. They help keep my streams monetarily viable and allow me to do what I'm doing out here on Twitch. But if you don't want to see any ads, consider subscribing or using a Prime sub. But either way, thank you for your support, and I hope to see you guys after the ad break. But yeah, for those of you who want my anatomy lessons and stuff, again, we cover a lot of anatomy out here in my streams. That's actually kind of what I'm known for on the platform. So we cover the arms, how to draw hands, how to draw legs, how to draw the torso. We even cover stuff like how to draw the skeletal anatomy of the head. So how do you actually draw, you know, what's going on there with the skeleton of the head? How do you draw teeth, mouth? We cover the whole body. And we actually finished all the anatomy, I believe 2 days ago. With the last one we finished drawing was feet and shoes. So I showed you guys how to draw feet and then how to apply that into drawing shoes over here. So that was actually the last one that we covered for anatomy. Now we're moving on to actually posing your characters from in perspective. So doing dynamic poses like this, and then moving on to doing stuff like hair, details, how to draw proportions for your characters. And today's stream is the basics of perspective. All right, so for those of you who are tuning in, but again, this is a free, I actually teach art out here on Twitch for free. So this is a free course that I have, that I basically all the things that I've learned from either being self-taught, reading books, paying for classes, and just my experience working in the industry. All of these things, I'm just kind of reteaching it for you guys. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thank you for the follow, Croissant Captain. Appreciate that. Also, Uga Renzo. But yeah, so you'll see here whenever I'm drawing characters, even this character right here, I'm actually just laying out super simple, you know, like per what's it called, super simple cylinders and all that stuff right here. And I would actually recommend you guys kind of do the same thing. Don't worry too much about, don't even worry too much about the gesture. I think at this stage it's actually better to be more stiff with your drawings, and then have it be more loose later, because I think stiffness in this scenario, in this case, is actually good for us, because it helps us establish that these characters and forms are actually in perspective in the first place. Is there a way to get satisfaction from art even if you are bad at it? I've wanted to do comic book style coloring, but I can't draw at all, Kaycem. Is there any way to get satisfaction at doing art even though you're bad at it? Well, personally, I think everyone derives a sense of satisfaction a little bit differently when it comes to anything, but in particular art. For me personally, the satisfaction I get from doing art is not necessarily being able to do something good, but more so being able to do something good that I previously was bad at. You get what I'm saying? So like something that I couldn't do before, putting the time in to learn how to improve on it, and that process of getting better, that for me is actually where my sense of satisfaction comes from. It's not for making a cool piece, because I do that all the time for work, right? Like I have to make good stuff for work, otherwise I don't have a job. And so for me, it's more about like, oh man, I'm struggling with this thing. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that thing, right? And whether or not I'm able to do it, sometimes even just the journey and the process of doing that alone, I think is actually really fun. But again, I think everybody derives satisfaction a little bit differently. Like for some people, it's about being able to produce the same good works all the time, or maybe it's about getting likes on Instagram or social media, right? It's so different for everybody. So I can't say for certain that is what I would recommend to you, and that'll work for you, but that is what has worked for me. So yeah. But also for those of you guys who are coming in here, thank you so much for the follows. Rain27, Tirfa out here, first time here, was reading about your art journey and feel like I could really relate. Oh, that's super awesome, Sooning. Thanks so much. I have no clue what's going on today. There's so many follows out here, so many new people. We just started our stream as well, so appreciate all you guys coming in. Thank you. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream so far. I'll give a little intro about myself for those of you guys who are coming in here. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Kaycem. Again, I teach art out here on Twitch, everything from anatomy, gesture, perspective, to all things related to character design. And I also currently work full-time in the animation industry for the studio that actually made Castlevania, Right now, I'm prepping to work as a character designer on shows like Castlevania, Legend of Korra, and Invincible. So if you guys are interested in some free art education, you're interested in, you just like animation in general, or you just like hanging out with my dog who is asleep over there, do leave a follow out here on Twitch. And again, if you're watching from YouTube, like and subscribe the video and all that stuff. But yeah, that's a little bit about me for those of you guys who are wondering. I do work professionally, so I draw for about 12 hours a day. I stream and I do drawing for stream for about 4 hours, and then after that I go straight into working, doing studio stuff. So that's a little bit about what I do. But right now you can kind of see how I'm building up the forms, and notice how we started it from actually the ground up. And the reason why I like doing this when I'm first learning perspective and when I'm studying stuff in perspective, again, a lot of it has to do with making sure that your characters are grounded in some sort of plane there, whether that's what's it called? Whether that's they're standing on the ground, they're sitting, or they're sitting on a chair, right? Having some sort of contact point on those planes, I think, are actually really, really important. And so make sure to kind of establish all of those things as you're working on your characters. Now, for those of you who are saying like, Kaycem, I'm having a hard time here with the proportions and actually getting all these things to feel like they're matching up here, I would actually recommend you check out my previous day of the bootcamp, which is day 21. And that's actually where we cover proportions. And I show you guys all the easy tips and tricks you can use to figure out all the proportions of the human body. So I would actually recommend that day for those of you who are struggling to lay out the characters in perspective, because that's going to be kind of the next level to what we're doing today, right? So I showed it to you guys yesterday to give you guys an idea of laying characters in, or laying the proportions, because once you understand the proportions, then you can kind of go in here and start doing all the crazy perspective stuff, right? But I think proportions is important first. Master that, get a good idea of that, and then this will become way, way easier overall. You actually came here for the dog cam? That's okay. Some people do come here purely for my dog, and that's fine. He's more than happy with that. I'm new here, so I'm actually just curious. Why do you use this reddish brown color for sketching drawing? Is it just a preference? It's a bit of both. So it's a preference, but also if and when you want to do coloring for your characters, and if you want to do more of a painterly style, it's actually a lot easier to work in a reddish tone, a warm tone, because skin naturally is of that warm tone due to blood and stuff. And so having a warm tone under sketch and underline and stuff can actually make it a lot easier to blend out colors and soften them out. Let me see if I have an example of what I'm talking about here. Let's see. Like, for example, this quick sketch that I did with you guys, this drawing that we did, I forgot when we did this. I used a red undertone there because it's so much easier and it's a lot softer on the face and the details to paint over red undertone than it is to draw under black. But again, it's also a preference. I just like having I like having the red color. I think it's a nice color as well. Is that an emote? Yeah, it's an emote. We got emotes out here on my streams. Guys, everybody spam Kaycem Floosh. If you guys have if you guys are subscribed, everybody drop in the Kaycem Floosh. It is a pure black, would have been too intimidating probably. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why. But yeah. Kaycem Floosh. Yeah, we got, you know us guys. We got high tier, high quality emotes on my streams. I make my emotes, you know me. How's it going, Danny? Yeah, everyone's got Kaycem Floosh. What the heck? Damn, everyone's Flooshing. Oh wait, I forgot. People on YouTube can't even see this. Look at this. Look at this YouTube chat. Sheesh, what's going on? We're Flooshing out here today. Hold on. Also, is my chat? Why is my chat like so small? What the heck? Strange. There you go. Everyone's got the Kaycem Flooshes out here. But I was gonna say something and I totally forgot what it was. I don't remember. Dang, that's okay. But yeah, guys, let me know if this has been okay so far. I know this has been a bit complicated. This is a tough topic, okay? This is probably one of the more advanced topics that I'm covering on this particular boot camp, but that's also why I'm saving it for like day 22. The remaining 8 days of my boot camp are actually going to be much harder topics overall, I would say. Have I ever dabbled in 2D animation? I mean, I work professionally in the animation industry, so yeah, I guess you could say I dabble in 2D animation. I do maybe a little bit more than dabbling in 2D animation, but yes, I do work with animation and stuff. That is something I like. Nah, you're good. You're good. I just thought it was funny. That's just on me. I thought it was funny. You're good. I'm teasing. I dab in 2D animation. But yeah, for those of you guys who are tuning in, yes, I do work in the animation industry. I do a lot of different things, but primarily focus on characters and stuff. At Powerhouse, I'm not a designer. I do freelance character design for other projects, or I've done it for other projects, but at Powerhouse, I do mostly animation work, actually. They liked my animation stuff, even though I think my character design work is better, but it's okay. It's all right. Sometimes you just, you take the role that you got and you work with what you got. How many character designers are in my particular department? I can tell you guys, but I don't know if I want to tell you. There's a good number. There's a good number of us. A lot of productions can be very large and some can be a lot smaller. For the one I currently work on, there's a fair amount of people who are on it. Even in my department alone, there's a fair number. So, when you create your own artwork, do you pose a mannequin on canvas or rather draw a pose and a simplified skeleton then add muscles? I don't necessarily know if I do any of those things. I think what I do is I do a quick kind of gesture. So I'll show you guys what I would do if I'm not teaching this to you guys. This is what I would do. I would actually just go in here and I would just kind of lay out some of the sketch, right? And I would just do a rough sketch like this, just to kind of fill it out and stuff and figure out some of the forms. But because, again, where I am doing a demo, I'm doing something a little bit different here where I'm showing you guys how I think about these things and how you guys can also practice these things yourself too. But if I were to draw this one out like for myself, like whether it's for work or personal or whatever, I would just go in here and rough out some gestures, right? Rough out some forms like this. Maybe even change a few of the things here, right? Change the head and stuff. But that's just kind of how I would do it. I would go in here like this, draw out a rough sketch like so. There you go. There's our little quick, took me about 2 minutes to draw this person sitting down here. And then what I would do is I would go on top of this, right? And then I'd actually go in here and draw out all the whatever forms I'm looking at. So if this is maybe a character that is, maybe this is a character that's muscular, right? So I might go in here and actually draw in the biceps like that. I might give him some triceps like this, right? Maybe I'll give them the forearm like that. I'll draw in here the neck, piece that in there, make sure I'm having the nice jaw there for this character, placing in the ears, right? And this is kind of how I would do it if I'm actually going to be doing this for myself. But from a demos perspective with you guys, I want to show you guys how to take these simplified forms first, because all of this stuff afterwards, the only reason I'm able to do stuff like this and do it so quickly is because I practice the underlying forms underneath. Does that make sense? So yeah, for those of you who are trying to learn and stuff, I actually don't recommend doing this right away, because this right here is kind of like, I think there's a lot of steps that are being skipped that you might not know about. Yeah. Does that make sense? But yeah, I'm going to erase it because I want to redraw it for you guys. Again, doing it properly using some of these mannequin structures and stuff. Where can you find my animation cuts? Well, unfortunately, so here's my portfolio for those who are curious, but Unfortunately, the stuff I do for work is still NDA, so it's like password protected. So only like studios and other stuff like that will actually be able to see all of that stuff. Yeah, but you can see all the stuff that's been public, like my character designs that I've worked on, and stuff. They'd only have one because if they have so many designers and production would take too long to make a single design. Just my thought. Oh no, they have a lot. There's a lot of designers. There's a lot of animators. There's a lot of storyboard artists. There's even a lot of script writers, right? So there's not just one person that writes every episode. Usually a show will have multiple script writers to kind of, work at it in parallel. So you'll have some people working on these episodes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of I think parallel work that happens oftentimes in the animation industry, but in general in the entertainment industry. It makes total sense. If you can't draw a mannequin in perspective, why bother drawing a human with anatomy in perspective? Exactly. That's the big thing right there, right? So there's so many beginner artists who I see want to jump in to they want to jump in and do all the crazy anatomy first. They're like, Kaycem, can you teach me the dark arts of doing anatomy? And I tell them look, young Padawan, if you want to get into learning how to do the complex stuff, you must first learn the basics. Wax on, wax off. You know what I'm saying? You need to know the basics, because if you can't even do the basics, it's going to be incredibly hard to do the complex anatomy in stuff in perspective. And we've done a few of those, right? I've shown you guys how to do that. I've shown you guys how to take poses like this and actually break them down and do the anatomy on top of the simplified structure. But again, it's all, you got to build your foundation up, right? It's like baking a cake. You want to make sure that the cake, the foundation of the cake, the flavor of the cake, all of that stuff is good before you put the icing on the top of the cake. That's a good call out. I agree with that take 100%. Kaycem's out here acting like an actual teaching, making us do the long process to make us understand the fundamentals. I know. You know why? Because I was like that too. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I was a younger artist, okay, when I was a beginner artist, I was what's it called? I was a bit of an eager person, right? Like, how many of you guys in the chat feel like you're behind with your art? Put an F in the chat if you're like, man, Kaycem, I feel like there's so much people better than me and everyone's improving at a crazy rate. And here I am, I'm trying to I'm struggling. I want to get better faster. What can I do, right? And then maybe you go and watch those videos on YouTube, like 3 easy mistakes or fastest ways to improve, all of those videos, right? And I was like that as well. I was thinking, what is the fastest way? What is the quickest way for me to get better quicker? Because everyone else is faster than me. What do I got to do? You guys want to know the fastest way to get better? The fastest way to get better is to take your time, learn it right. And if you take your time and learn it right the first time, you won't have to do it again a second time, right? But for some reason, a lot of beginner artists, they want to go learn it right away. So they're willing to take shortcuts. But the problem with taking shortcuts is that in the long run, you're not actually building a good foundation. So then you're going to have to go back again anyways and then relearn it again. And every time you keep taking shortcuts and shortcuts, you're just wasting future time that you have to go back in and continue to relearn and refigure out the fundamentals. And until you decide to actually take a step back, learn it properly the first time around, will you be able to build enough foundation to move forward to the more difficult stuff and then go back again, and you do it. And there's always going to be a process of relearning the fundamentals. I always go through anatomy once a year. I relearn my anatomy every single year to get better, but I make sure I do it properly. I'm not doing it just to speed run it because I see all these other people on Instagram who are so much better or whatever have you, right? So that's actually the secret. For those of you who are here watching my stream and you see the title of my stream, how to improve your skills quickly. That's it. That's how you do it. I know it's not the most exciting answer to hear, but I actually think it's what's that one thing about the tortoise and the hare story, right? Like it's literally that story, right? You could be that rabbit who is like trying to speed run things, but along the way they get distracted, they take shortcuts, all of that stuff. So even though they're faster, they're technically faster and they're taking these shortcuts, you're actually taking the much longer path than if you were just to take it nice and slow, get your pace going, and eventually you'll hit that finish line where you want to be. But okay, guys, we drew out here the first pose while I was chatting with you guys. We locked this in. Thank you so much for the sub, Brett Bot TV, and also thank you so much for all the follows today too. Javid Pozo, Fel Pisser, and everybody else who's coming in here right now. Appreciate all you guys. That's a lot of secret spaghetti. I know some people don't want to hear the secret spaghetti though. They want to hear the easy, fast tips, right? Mega sweet smiles. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are actually insane. Thank you so much, everybody. Out here. Appreciate all the follows. But let's go on here now and let's continue working on some designing more of these characters in perspective. And then maybe if we have some time, I'll actually go in and maybe even I'll go in here and probably add in more details and stuff to the characters for you guys if you guys want. Let me go ahead here and change the perspective grid because I realized that I shifted things up, so I'm going to move it over here. That way it's just easier for me to draw in those lines and not have to worry too much about lining everything because that's just so much work. I'm extending the back here just to give it more room for us to add in stuff like a chair and so forth. Okay. Wow, so many people coming in here today. Actually insane. Welcome in, guys. Thanks so much for all the education, sir. Oh, thank you. What's your opinion on AI? Will it cause harm to artists? Yes and no. I think it can cause harm to artists, which is unfortunate. Is it going to take away artists' jobs? No, I don't think so. But we've had a lot of talks about AI on my streams, and so I don't want to dilute today's stream too much about the conversation of AI. But what I will say is that you guys as artists should not worry too much about whether or not AI will replace your jobs. If there's anything I think artists should worry about when it comes to AI is making sure that you are protected as you move forward in your journey as an artist, right? And what do I mean by that? I mean, making sure that when you're sharing your art, you are, opting out of things that would potentially, underhandedly use your art as data for other people to exploit, stuff like that. Do that. But otherwise, I think overall, once AI gets a better regulation, once it's I think a little bit more ethically produced in the ways that it generates images and stuff like that and handles data, I think then artists like myself and even you guys out here watching may or may actually find it beneficial to utilize AI in your own workflow and actually find that learning how to learn the fundamentals and still figuring out how to do your drawings will actually allow you to be the ones that'll actually best utilize AI, other than all these tech bros who actually, again, don't put the time and effort in to practice and hone their skills, right? So I always tell people, like, don't worry too much about all of that stuff, right? How do you avoid that? That's a great question. I would say look into a couple things. Glaze is one of the newest algorithms that have been generated to put a kind of AI related watermark that would prevent AI from properly or completely training your art on their data. I would say take a look at that, but there's so many different things out there. Again, I'm not going to make this stream a super specific to all of that, but I would say take a look at Glaze. That one's an interesting one that I read about recently. And for context, for those of you guys who are curious, I did used to work as a software engineer for about 5 years, actually. So I was in the engineering industry I was in the tech industry for about 5 years prior to switching to working in the animation industry. So I do have I think I'm fairly on the more optimistic side about technology and how it can be utilized for the greater good of artists and stuff. But that doesn't mean that I'm naive in the sense of just me blindly utilizing these tools, right? I want to also make sure that artists are never being exploited for the work that they do at the expense of capitalists and the tech industry just trying to make a quick buck. I think that's pretty scummy. You know, tools that help people create, that's great, but don't do it at the expense of the people who are helping you make those things in the first place. But yeah, that's what I'll say. Again, that's my take, guys. If you guys don't agree with it, that's okay. If you guys do agree with it, that's cool too, right? You don't have to agree or disagree with the stuff that I'm covering right now. But anyways, going back here to the perspective, what I'm doing here is I'm actually laying out, I want to draw this girl right here who's sitting down, and I'm actually just simplifying out here kind of like a simple structure for her to sit on. Again, I'm not adding in all the details. I'm just kind of giving these characters here some points of contact that they can actually utilize when they're interacting here with the environment that we have. Now, I want to remind you guys that I'm not actually lining up the perspective exactly on here, because I'm actually more focused on utilizing the some of the tips and tricks that we covered out here, right? Talking about the degree of the ellipse, talking about utilizing the horizon line. And so I'm using, I think someone actually said it earlier really well, which was, when I use perspective for something like this, I'm using my intuition, and I'm teaching you guys how to draw characters in perspective utilizing intuition instead of having to map everything out on a 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. Because I think personally, perspective is probably one of the most fundamental things you can learn when it comes to drawing. But also, it's actually one of the things that allows you to be more free to be able to draw whatever you want. Because if you can really understand perspective, you can do dynamic poses, you can do a lot of things. And I'll actually show you guys an example on this stream, something that we're going to be covering on a later stream. Also, ignore Kaycem Floosh. That emote is so, it's just so aggressive. But here's an example of what you guys can do once you kind of learn perspective a little bit better. Last year on my boot camp, when I taught this last year, I showed you guys how to take a reference image like this, right? And we talked about breaking down the proportions, we talked about breaking down the perspective, and then what I asked you guys to do was I said, hey, from imagination, from invention, let's go ahead now and draw that same pose, but let's just rotate it a little bit. Let's keep the horizon line the same, but let's just rotate it a little bit, and let's see if we can kind of do something like this, right? Not too hard, not too crazy, right? We drew this pose, and then I said, you know what, let's take that same pose now that we just drew, and now let's lower the horizon line a little bit more, and let's draw this pose from imagination. And then once we did that, I said, you know what, let's go lower that horizon line just a bit more now, and let's see if we can draw that same pose again, but this time from a different view. Right? So I'm showing you guys here that once you learn perspective and be able to actually visualize it and understand the forms, you'll be able to actually take a reference image, something like this, and be able to draw other poses for it without having to find that particular reference for that pose, right? Like, how many of you guys know what I'm talking about? How many of you guys in the chat have spent hours? Put an F in the chat if you spent hours looking for that right reference. So much time spent looking for the reference, but not enough time actually spent drawing. When you spend more time scrolling on Instagram and Pinterest than you are actually drawing, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes you don't even draw at all. Shoot, some of y'all out here really scrolling and you don't even draw. It's all right. Also, yeah, shout out to Ergo Josh. How's it going, Josh? Let me give you a quick shout out. If you guys don't know who Ergo Josh is, fellow awesome content creator out here on Twitch, a good friend of mine. They're also on YouTube. You might have heard of them. A little bit of a platform called the YT. But yeah, that's why I'm showing you guys here how to build intuition when it comes to drawing things in perspective, as opposed to being fixated on particular specific, things like, oh man, I got to make sure I'm lining up all of these particular lines on these particular points, because again, that's going to actually, I think, restrict it a little bit too much. Yeah, Ergo Josh is here. He's a good friend of mine. We're good buddies. He comes out on my streams on occasion. Yeah, no. You never heard of YouTube? Yeah. He's here. But yeah, if you guys want to say hi, Ergo Josh is here. Or maybe he's hiding now because you guys scared him away. But anyways, going back here. So I'm laying out here this chair, but notice how I'm not actually working on all the crazy details. I don't want to do too much detail on this pose or on this chair here. So I'm kind of just giving it a nice simple structure. Now, also, I want to remind you guys that this is not going to be exact with the reference that we have. I'm using the reference that we have there on the left more as a general guideline. But we are going to be changing we are going to be changing the scene just a little bit here to match our own composition, right? Oh, thank you for the follow. Sorry, Sarith, Kittel or Kitg, Hakan, Blue Wolf, and everybody else coming in here. But all right, we've got here now this kind of a basic primitive shape that we've got here, kind of like a I don't even know what this shape is. It's a kind of like a trapezoidal form here. Let me try to clean it up a little bit more. Kind of like this trapezoidal form. And it's going to go behind this form here. All right, so we're going to be utilizing this now, and I'm going to be placing the character on top of this. And again, the reason why I'm doing this is I actually think it's really important to make sure your characters are touching the contact points. Otherwise, they're really just going to look like they're floating, right? They're going to look like they're floating in space, which could be cool. That could be what you're looking for. But I have a feeling that a lot of you out here want your characters to look like they're actually in the scenes that you're drawing. A tent? Yeah, maybe it's like a tent vibe. Also, Natasha, hey, welcome back in, Natasha. Also, Bennyverse, thank you for the follows. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the follows out here today, guys. Speaking of YouTube, by the way, if you guys do like the tutorials and stuff that I cover out here, I actually have a YouTube channel that I upload all of these full-length courses on my YouTube channel. Basically, one of my goals as a content creator is to make art education as free and as accessible as possible. I'm not trying to put it behind some sort of like paywall or anything. All that I ask is if you guys are here to learn, one, put the effort in, right? Don't go try to do the shortcut. Put the effort in because I got the resources for you. And also, you know, leave a follow out here on Twitch, like and subscribe to the video on YouTube. And that's really all I ask. And also share it with other people. Let them know that there's, you know, courses out here that I teach, because I know that there are a lot of people out here who maybe struggled because you can't pay for that online class. You can't pay for buying those books or those resources, right? Or maybe it's just not the right time kind of thing. So I try to make it as accessible as possible out here. A noble goal. I greatly appreciate you for it. We help each other and not limited to expensive schools. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. What are you doing, Josh? Thanks for the prime sub. Appreciate it. What are you doing? Are you trying to DM me? Do we need to chat or something? What's going on? You're giving me a lot of attention today. I think Josh wants to chat. He's like, psst, 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 psst. Senpai noticed me. Thank you for the primer. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. You're working at bakery pastry and knowing how to draw is a huge help in the industry if you want to create new. Right, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I agree, actually. Just finished building 50% of your IKEA furniture. Oh, nice. That's a good goal. That's tough. I like building IKEA stuff too, actually. But yeah, I don't know what I was saying earlier, but anyways, welcome in, guys. And I hope today's stream is not super scary. Right now we're gonna be going in here now, and I'm actually adding in the pelvis of this girl right here. And again, I'm always focusing on contact points, right? So I have the pelvis here, and you know what? I want her other foot to actually go right here. So I'm kind of laying out here where I want the contact points to be, and then from there figuring out how do I get to A and B. Now, sometimes this works well and sometimes it doesn't. So keep that in mind, that this is, you know, you have to kind of have a good understanding here of the structures to be able to lay these things out properly. But I think having a place to go to and a general goal in mind can actually make it a whole lot easier. So like right here, let's kind of go in now and actually add in the leg, right? So I'm gonna bring in this leg here that we have right here. The foot's gonna be kind of going here. And so I'm kind of slowly piecing out this scene using simplified structures. Now, again, earlier I showed you guys how you don't have to do this. And I actually would say that once you've kind of gotten a handle of drawing these things, if anything, move away from this model and try to find, you know, a much more comfortable gestural approach that I think works for you. But I think it's good to be able to start from something like this, because again, if you can do this, if you can do some of the simple stuff like this, you can do the complicated stuff. But I don't think it works the other way around, right? Like, there's actually a really great quote from Andrew Loomis. Let me see if I can find it. I think what he says is, oh, here we go. Perspective will not teach you how to draw the figure, but you can never draw the figure without perspective. Because no matter what, a character will always be in perspective. Whether it's far away, zoomed in, there's always going to be some perspective on your characters. So I feel like if you want to really master drawing characters, you have to know perspective, even just the basics. You don't have to be super crazy and do all the dynamic poses and stuff and the dynamic perspective shots, but knowing your perspective, I actually feel like is a key part that you should not neglect. It's as important, if not more important, than learning anatomy for your characters. Like I would tell people, before you learn anatomy and stuff, don't even worry about that, honcho. Focus on knocking out the perspective of your characters. Thank you for the follow too, Vanillates. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. But yeah, let me know, guys. Let me know if I'm going too fast out here, or if maybe I'm not going fast enough. Do you guys want me to go faster? You guys feel like we're at a good pace today, showing you kind of how I'm breaking down these poses and stuff. People are too fast to say, "Oh, I know perspective," but in reality, they don't. Yeah, but I think that is kind of a trickier thing, because it's hard to know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So it's like did I learn enough, or should I be moving on? And to that, I always say that, like, oh, you know, you can always go back and revisit these topics, but learn it a little bit, learn what you feel like is important to you. Come back to it later once you feel more interested in it overall. You want to go faster? Are you sure? Chat, what do you think? Should we make a poll? Should I make a poll today to see if I should be going faster on stream, or if I should be going at this pace? Let me go here. I'll make a poll. All right. Stream pace, question mark. Go slower. Good pace. Okay, this is good. Gotta go fast. All right. Vote in the poll. There's a poll that I'm making right now, guys. You guys can just vote. If you want me to speed up, I totally could. If you guys feel like this is a solid pace, Kaycem, you're like, I'm paying attention. This is okay. I can digest this. But let me know. Let me know in the chat. You know, put on there if you want me to just, yeah, you know, vote something. Vote anything. What is perspective? Yeah, so that's a great question. So perspective is basically how we view the world. That's for lack of better words, whenever we view anything with our eyes and stuff, we see everything in perspective, right? It is how objects interact with each other. It is how, related to our vision, things recede into space, but all of it is dependent on what we see. The horizon line that I talked about earlier, that is actually based off of our eye level, or a camera's eye level, or whatever have you. But it's how we view the 3D world around us. And so learning how to draw 3D things, or drawing anything in that's three-dimensional and not just like a symbol, like a smiley face, right? Like this, a flat 2D plane, will require us to understand perspective. Now, there are ways that you can make, you know, perspective a little bit easier to comprehend and be able to reproduce it. And those are things like the horizon line, vanishing points, and all of that stuff that some of you guys might have heard of, right? Actually, out of curiosity, put an F in the chat, guys, if you've ever struggled with perspective, or if you actually currently struggle with perspective right now. I'm just kind of curious to see here. where you guys are kind of landing here today. Because if I find that all of you guys are actually masters of perspective already, then I'm like, oh, okay, then, you know, I'll speed run this one a little bit and we'll talk about more advanced topics, because I actually have a few other topics I want to cover for perspective. Not today, but I'm thinking Thursday stream, for those of you who want to get excited about it. Thursday stream, I'm actually going to be covering how to do dynamic perspective. So we're going to be talking about how to do, like, for example, how to draw something like this, right? Like where maybe the camera lens is looking down or the camera is looking up. So those bird's eye view and worm's eye view, we're going to be covering that on Thursday's stream. So today is like the basics. Today is like nice, simple perspective, how to draw multiple characters in perspective. Thursday's stream, we're going to talk about actually doing the more dramatic shots. And then I'm thinking Saturday's stream, we're going to be covering how to draw characters from imagination in perspective. So kind of what I showed you guys earlier. So we're working our way up here on difficulty. Okay, so just know that if you guys are like, Kaycem, this is too easy, man, this is like the basic stuff, I know, okay, but I gotta prep you guys, because if I jump into all the fancy schmancy crazy stuff, the clickbaity, you know, the clickbaity popular stuff, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for some of you to follow, especially if you're just starting out with perspective. Okay. But yeah, let me give a quick little intro of myself. Actually, I think we're good. Maybe I'll wait a little later. But if you guys want a TLDR of who I am and stuff, my name is Kaycem. I teach art out here on Twitch, and I also work full-time in the animation industry here in LA. So what I teach here as my second job, but I work at a studio as my primary job. Yeah, but I'll do a full longer intro later, just for those of you who are coming in right now. I know there's a lot of you who've been coming in today, leaving follows and stuff. You guys are crazy with the follows today. I thought today was supposed to be a chill day, man. I woke up today and I was like, today's nice and chill. I got some tea. I'm out here. We're sipping, you know. But no, we've been getting crazy follows. We've been getting a lot of energy out here, so I appreciate you guys always coming out here and hanging out. All right, but I think we're almost done actually with this pose right here. I would say she was probably the most complicated pose because one, she's interacting with multiple levels, different levels there of the planes. So you have her resting her foot on the stool, but then you also have her other foot resting there on the mat. So it's kind of like different levels, and she's also sitting on a higher level of the stool as well. So it's like, I would say out of all of these, she was probably the most complicated to knock out. But as you guys can see, I worked again from the ground up, right? Like things that are complicated become less complicated if you can find the basic first steps to work on them from the ground up, right? It's kind of like chipping away at it slowly each time. If you can figure out what the basic primitive steps are, in software engineering, this is something we call first principles. I know I don't teach software. I don't teach computer science here on my streams, but there's this concept that I learned when I was an engineer back in the days called first principles, which is taking a complex concept and breaking it down to its core constituent components, right? Like, what is the human body? Sure, it's skeletons and muscles and all of that stuff and organs and whatever. But when it comes to drawing, right, if you can simplify the human body to basic shapes, basic 3D forms, right, that's kind of like, I would say, some of the core concepts there. And then you can start adding stuff on top of that. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's kind of getting a little on the nerdier side here. But again, this is a pretty nerdy stream, so if you guys are here and didn't know that, we do educational content out here. Surprise, surprise. Some be like, wait a minute, this is educational content? What's going on? yeah, it's we do a lot of teaching out here. What's your main art style? Would you say you have a manga Japanese style? I would say my main art style currently is actually the Castlevania style, and that's mostly because I work at Powerhouse and that's the style that a lot of our productions are. And so because I just work and draw on those type of shows and stuff, my style kind of naturally leans towards that. But also, I think that's just how I like to draw. So here's some stuff I've drawn, by the way, for those of you who are curious. These are some characters, some character faces I drew for Joel from The Last of Us. So the ones on the left are my take of Joel on the left side there, how I would design him if I was being asked to draw Joel from The Last of Us. And then on the right side is Pedro Pascal's version of Joel that he did for HBO Max. Do you have any recommendations to learn character concept design? Yeah, I mean, my boot camp is basically teaching all of character design. So I would say check out my YouTube channel where I upload all the videos over there and we go over all the fundamentals. But actually this whole year, I want to focus primarily on character design. So after we finish this fundamental boot camp, we're going to be working on drawing different types of characters. So we're going to be looking at drawing male, female, kids, teenagers, adults, old people. We're going to be looking at drawing different body types. So big people, skinny people, fat people, muscular people. And then we're going to be drawing maybe even monster designs as well too. So my whole stream is purely dedicated to helping you guys and also helping myself practice drawing character designs and all of that stuff. And then a little bit later in the year will be a little bit more special topics like how to draw like different genres of characters. How do you draw sci-fi characters? How do you draw Western characters, superheroes, futuristic, gothic characters, medieval, stuff like that. So yeah, if any of those things sound interesting to you guys, please do make sure to leave a follow out here on Twitch, but also like and subscribe, join on YouTube. We're almost at 5K, by the way. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I cannot believe it, but we're almost at 5K subscribers over there on YouTube. So thank you so much for all the support. It's crazy. It's crazy all the support and the growth that we've had over there on YouTube, especially because the type of content that I put on YouTube, it's not the viral, it's not the Mr. Beast crazy challenge videos. It's like 2-hour long tutorial content. It's like classes. So I know that it's not going to be the most viral video, but I'm at least thankful that the people who are looking for this type of content are finding this content. And I think that's what matters to me, is that I'm able to help other people out there, whether it's here on YouTube or whether it's here on Twitch or on a different platform like YouTube. So, but yeah, if you guys want to subscribe over there on my YouTube channel, it would mean a lot to me. Saku and Billy yesterday, Booberini, thank you so much for the follows. Geo as well, Wicked Rise. Sheesh, you guys are insane. But okay, I think we've knocked out here this one. Easy peasy. I might actually make her a little bit bigger. I think I want to make the chair and her just a tad bit bigger here, because I want her to be at the horizon line level. Which means I'm going to also make her bigger, but now she's starting to, I think this is okay. This is good. Okay, there you go. So we've got here easy peasy laying out the groundwork for our characters. I told you guys not too hard so far, right? But let's go do a few more out here. I want to do this guy on the right because I think he's really easy to knock out. So we'll just kind of draw him out really quickly. And then from there, we'll do, I think the most complicated one out of all of these is going to be this guy over here, because he's a little bit off in the distance and he's also rotated at a 3/4 angle. 3/4 angle back view as well. So it's kind of like adds a little bit more depth, a bit more difficulty out here than maybe the other ones that we have. Gothic characters, you say? Indeed, Molly Mosa. We're going to be doing some of those, but that's later. That's later on in the year. Which actually reminds me, for those of you guys who are coming in here, on my streams, I actually actually give you guys a bunch of free resources that you guys can download. This is today's worksheet if you guys want to follow along, practice along with me. And I'm giving you guys two other sheets here. One is a compilation of Andrew Loomis's Guide to Perspective, a really great cheat sheet to grab. But also right here is an exercise that I did in drawing characters foreshortened, taking simplified forms and then applying some of the anatomy and stuff on top of that. So these are free to grab on my Discord channel. Make sure to grab them. But also if you do subscribe to my stream or use your Prime sub or whatever, you'll actually get access to all the worksheets from the previous streams. So you get the PSD files and all of that stuff. So you get all of this, and you also get all of my cheat sheets, which will later turn into I'll be turning these later into a digital art book. So not only does subscribing actually give you emotes and all of that stuff, it actually also gives you access to all of my courses, whether from this year or from last year. So you'll get access to all of that. But again, if you guys are not able to subscribe or whatever at this time, these right here are free to grab, and I always give something free every single time that I'm live, guys. So make sure to grab these because again, it's free stuff. But I want to remind you guys, these are only when I'm live, okay? So by the time my stream ends, those will be gone too, all right? Yeah, $5 art school. One of my goals out here is to shake the big art industry, the multi-billion-dollar art industry. I feel like it's not the only way. It's not the only way to learn and to get better. And my goal is to make it so that if you can't afford it, you can't afford to pay for art school, that's okay, because you don't need to. You got the Kaycem crew or any other content creator out here. There's actually a lot of us content creators. So yeah. But anyways, going back in here, let's kind of talk a bit now about this character here. So we're going to go ahead and again use the same techniques that I'm talking about, right? We're going to be laying out here the perspective. I'm laying out the pelvis because I want that pelvis to kind of make contact first right here. So I'm imagining here that contact point there of the pelvis on the mat here. And you'll see how, again, I'm not actually like trying to find the horizon line and being like, okay, does this converge this way to this line, and does that converge all the way there? Because again, that's going to start making your stuff more rigid. I think understanding how the degree of the ellipse works and how forms will actually, you'll see more or less of the planes of the ellipse the further away it gets from the horizon line. Being able to visualize that will actually help you build a better intuition overall, I think, than trying to, go in and line everything up. Not to say that you can't do that. You definitely could. But also thank you for the sub, Bastille. Appreciate that. Thank you. Hopefully you enjoy all the resources. Again, make sure to connect your Twitch account to Discord, because I've gotten people who've subscribed and forgot to do that. That'll give you all the access to everything. I also do have, for those of you who don't want to subscribe, but you want to get access to everything, I do have here all of my stuff from last year. You can actually check out my Gumroad, and that'll give you access to all of the cheat sheets and worksheets from last year. That's over 140 plus cheat sheets and worksheets, kind of like what you're seeing here, as well as all the stuff you saw on my Discord channel. Do you think tracing references helps with anatomy and perspective? It depends. I think if you are tracing properly, yes. If you are just copying all the contours, like for example, I'll show you guys. Let's do a quick demo. Okay. Here's a great way to trace if you guys are struggling with what we're covering out here. Yeah, even if you were gifted a sub, that'll also give you access, right? So if you're going in here and if you're tracing out here and you're like, okay, let me figure out the forms a little bit here, and let me do a little bit of this and figure out the torso, let me figure out the pelvis really quick, right? If you're doing all of this stuff and you're not necessarily tracing, but you're actually trying to figure out what's going on, I think that's great. But if you're just going in here and you're like, okay, let me add a little bit of the curve here, let me add the wiggle of the hair, let me like do all of this, and let me like outline all of that, you're not actually learning much about what's going on in the reference, and instead you're training yourself to just copy. You're learning how to copy and learning how to find contours, but this is actually not as beneficial as going in and being able to say like, okay, this right here is actually going to be the structure of the skull going this way, right? And from that structure of the skull, here's going to be that halfway mark there for the ear. Let's go find the eye line right here. Let's go find the plane here of the head. Let's go ahead and bring this neck down right here as it connects down to the skull. Where is the volume right here of the neck going this way? So notice by doing this, right, you're actually going in here and breaking down these structures, and you're not just copying every little detail like, okay, let me copy this wrinkle, let me do this and that, right? You see what I'm saying? Like there's a difference between tracing to copy and tracing to learn. Let me know in the chat if that made any sense, guys. Hopefully it made some sense. But there you go. That's usually what I mean when I say like tracing in itself is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's about how you go about it, right? If you're just there to copy things out, you're not necessarily learning anything, which is unfortunate. I think, you know, take every opportunity as a learning opportunity is what I always say. Anything and everything can be a learning opportunity. And then give her the follows, Snaily Bear. Great name, Snaily Bear. But yeah, earlier I showed you guys how I was able to quickly draw this one gesturally. We're not going to be drawing that right now, but I'm showing you guys kind of the simplified forms. Or actually, do you guys want to see how I would draw this one out without doing the mannequin? How do you guys feel? You guys want me to do that for this one? We can do it for this one because I think this one's a little bit like chill, so whatever. Thank you for the sub, by the way. Oh, Oxdart. Yeah, we'll do it. Okay, cool. So let me erase this actually. So here's how I would do it without drawing all the mannequin structures and forms, or without having to do all the super fixated stuff, right? So again, I'm thinking about the same concepts here when I'm drawing these things out, but now I'm going to be using more of the organic shapes overall, and I'm going to be utilizing gesture just a little bit more here to actually visualize some of the forms that I'm actually, you know, trying to lay out. I think at this stage, I'm again not focused too much on the anatomy and stuff. I'm still keeping a lot of the forms, but what I'm doing instead here that's going to be a little different from some of the structures that we covered here is going to be that I'm actually just laying out more of the gesture because I already know how the underlying forms and anatomy are going to work. So because of that, I'm able to kind of skip past some of the initial steps and just go in here and start saying, okay, like this is going to be a foot going this way like that. There's going to be a leg here that's going this way like that, right? But notice how I'm still working my way from the ground up because I want to avoid that problem of having your characters floating in space, which is, I think, personally not a fun problem. I'm using Procreate right now for those of you guys wondering. Piece on Instagram just now, it looks dope. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Yeah, I think, you know, again, perspective is really fun and it's a great way to enhance your illustration. And this is why I'm trying to teach it to you guys as best as I can, because I think if you can master perspective, man, that's a huge level up for drawing characters. 100%, without a doubt. Thank you for the follows, Death by Side and Kendo Rice Ball. What the heck? Thanks for all the follows today. I don't know what's going on today. I'm always surprised every stream because I'm I think today I always think like, oh, this is gonna be a chill stream, and then all of a sudden there's so many follows and new people who come in, and so thank you guys. Thank you for everyone coming in here. Hopefully you guys enjoy today's stream so far. If I use a ref as you do right now, it's not copying because I find it very hard for me to draw from imagination. Yes, and again, I will tell you guys, Queen Aster, if you guys want a practice or an exercise to draw from imagination, come to my stream on Saturday, because Saturday's stream, again, I'm gonna show it one more time, but Saturday's stream will actually be dedicated to drawing from imagination. I'm gonna be showing you guys how to take one reference like this, and from this one reference, draw it from different angles using our quote-unquote imagination, but more like more invention, drawing it from different poses here in different perspectives, okay? But again, it's all coming down to understanding the basic shapes and the basic primitive forms and understanding how the fundamentals of perspective works if you want to be able to draw from, again, imagination. I'm using quotes here because I tell you guys all the time that you can't draw something from nothing, right? You have to derive an idea. Even the legendary and the late Kim Jong-yi, if you watched his videos and saw his interviews on how he got better as an artist, he always talks about how he studies the things that he's drawing 5, 6, 7, 8 times until he memorizes it to be able to then reproduce it, right? So he'll look at a bike, he'll break down exactly what we're doing right now. He'll break down the structures of a bike really into its simple forms and then try to reproduce that and try to test his knowledge to see if he can draw that same bike from different angles. So it's not about coming up with something crazy from your imagination, but it's about building your visual library and understanding to be able to reproduce it without the reference. Let me know if that made any sense. But really quick, guys, I do run ads on my stream every hour. One's gonna be running right about now. So if you do get an ad, thank you again for sticking around for the ad break. They do help keep my streams monetarily viable and allow me to do what I'm doing out here on Twitch. But if you don't want to see any ads, consider subscribing or using a Prime sub. But either way, thank you for your support, and I hope to see you guys after the ad break. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, let me know if that made sense though about the topic of drawing from imagination, because, you know, I understand completely. I've been there where when I was, when I was first starting out as an artist, I used to be like, oh man, I don't want to use any references. I want to be able to draw anything from my imagination, because I want to draw my anime characters without having to look at this and that. But here's actually the silly thing that I didn't realize until much later in my journey as an artist. But if you guys ever look into how animations are produced, whether it's anime in Japan or Western animation here in the US, like let's just take a show like One Piece or Naruto, right? You'll actually find that every artist who is in these productions have to use a reference. And the reason why is not because they're not skilled. It's not because they don't know how to draw. It's because if you have hundreds of artists working and drawing the same characters, you got to make sure that they know how to draw that character exactly, right? There's these things called character model sheets, which I'll show you guys right now. Here's one from Legend of Korra that I made. So here you have to understand how the proportions of the character work, this and that. You have to understand how the details of the face work, how the hair's drawn, all of these things. So that way everybody, the hundreds of artists who are working on these productions, know how to draw these things consistently. Because you can imagine if 100 people drew these characters in their own style, oh man, that would be a headache to watch as an animation, because every single frame is going to look different. You get what I'm saying? And so this is why I'm telling you guys, there's nothing wrong with using references and stuff. I think if there's anything, it's more about learning how to utilize references, learning how to utilize references to your advantage to be able to draw whatever it is you want to draw. And sometimes that means not using a reference, but maybe it does, right? So that's kind of what I'll say about all of that stuff when it comes to references. Again, let me know if that made any sense. I'm not saying don't use references, but I'm also not saying to only use references, right? And to only copy and trace what you're seeing, but really build that visual library, and find those ways to practice those things as well too. Thank you for the follow, Mango Luso, and everybody else coming in here. Glad to have you. Glad to have you guys here today. Welcome in, guys. Are you guys back from the ad break? Let me know in the chat if you guys are still stuck in an ad world. Will you show us how to draw clothes, folds, and wrinkles? Oh, you bet. Oh yeah. Now we're doing it all. If anything, I've already done it actually in the past, but I'll show it to you guys again. We've covered clothing last year and we'll do it again this year, but here's an example, a little taste of that. I show you guys how to tackle the tension points of clothing, how to simplify it using small, medium, large shape design, how to take something that's more complex and kind of simplify it for maybe an anime style or more of a simple cartoony look. We go over a lot of different things out here, because you could imagine character design is not limited to just drawing naked people, though some would argue that that's all they care about. Character design is, again, there's a lot of things that go into designing characters. One of those things is clothing. So yes, we will be going over clothing. Not yet though. I think I have it scheduled for day 28. of my character design bootcamp, so we're still a bit of a ways. So maybe in like 2 weeks, once we kind of get to that place, we'll be doing some clothing design and stuff. But yeah, naked people. In the final, would it be like an exam or something? It would be fun. You know, we joked about that. I don't know if you guys want a final exam. You guys really want a final exam? We can do it. I can give you guys a test. I can be like, all right, here, I want you guys to design a character. Do this in perspective, doing this dynamic pose. Hit me. I'm not going to give you guys a reference. I'm going to let you guys find your own references. Maybe. Some of y'all are sweating right now. You're like, yo, hey, don't do this, Kaycem. Don't do this to me. Also really quick, let me do a proper intro of myself for those of you guys who are here right now. If it's your first time, let me do a quick little intro. Yeah, like Candy just followed, and then they're like, yo, wait a minute, huh? A test? What stream did I just follow? All right, so here we go, guys. Proper intro in 3, 2, 1. What is up, everybody? My name is Kaycem, and I'm a Filipino art streamer here on Twitch, and I teach everything from anatomy, gesture, perspective to all things related to character design. And I also work full-time in the animation industry for the studio that made Castlevania. Right now, I'm prepping to work as a character designer on shows like Castlevania, Legend of Korra, and Invincible. So if you guys are interested in some free art education, you like animation, or you just like my dog who is sleeping over there and hiding behind his bed, make sure to leave a follow out here on Twitch. And also, if you're watching from YouTube, like and subscribe the video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. There you go. But yeah, that's a little intro about me for those of you who are coming in. I know there's been a lot of you who've been tuning in right now today, so just wanted to give you guys a little info about me. I teach out here on Twitch as my second job. At least I treat it as a second job. Otherwise I do work in the studio. Subscribe the video. Yeah, subscribe to my channel. You know what I mean, guys. Come on. Don't do this to me. Like and subscribe for this video, whatever people say on YouTube. Please. Again, this is the what's it called? My simplified kind of structure and form here for this guy. I'm still using some of the shapes, but you can kind of see here, I'm keeping it nice and loose. I'm not focused too much on getting those specific mannequin structures in, but it can be helpful. And so you could imagine there we're piecing in all these forms. But there you go. This is again that other pose. Now this one's a little bit faster because we kind of use some shortcuts to draw things out. But what I'll do is after we kind of draw all of these components out, I'll actually go back in with you guys and we'll go in and I'll talk a bit about laying out some of the anatomy and all of that stuff. So we'll actually draw some of the characters out here. I think we can definitely do something like that. Not a bad idea. Smash the like, follow button, and hit the bell icon. Yeah, didn't you say that in your recent video? I heard you say smash, and I was like, oh, that's weird. What happened to Josh, man? He's watching too much Mr. Beast videos. If we can get this video... Hold on. Pause the music. Here we go. Ready?
If we can get this video to 5 million likes, I will be giving away 10 Mr. Beast burgers in a hidden iPhone case. Come check out right now. Like this video.
There you go. That's the typical crazy YouTuber, high adrenaline, clickbaity, whatever tactics they use. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You said you were here for the art education, not English grammar education. True. 100%. You'll have the tea. Thanks for, yeah, thanks for coming in. Thanks for the follow. But yeah, that's like your standard YouTube intro. It's like the super crazy, who knows even what, but you know, I'm pretty chill out here. We don't need all that bells and whistles. Like and subscribe right now. Oh, here's another one that I hear all the time on YouTube. I've noticed that 90% of you guys are not subscribed to my video. So if you click that subscribe button right now, it'll actually change this percentage. I hear that all the time on YouTube. I don't know if it actually works. I don't care about that. Like, if you like my content and you want to see more of it, consider subscribing. That's it. Otherwise, it's cool. Like if you find my video again, you know, and you see it and you're like, oh cool, this is a dope thing. Maybe you'll follow me then, or you'll subscribe to me then. But otherwise, you know, I don't. It's okay. You don't got to subscribe if you don't want to. But anyways, going back here, we've drawn out now this pose. So we have here this guy, a little bit more looser, more organic than I would say the other ones. But overall, I would say this pose right here is pretty much done. Again, we can always fix this one up later, but I'm showing you guys just kind of how I move some of these things around and kind of lay it out here for perspective, right? Yeah. Feels like that's actually put in your video. You may have to follow up, Kaycem. Oh yeah, don't do that. I was kidding, by the way. If this video actually gets 5 million likes, I am not giving away any iPhone. Don't do it. Don't actually. Yeah. Shoot, it's too late. I said it on the video, so now it's gonna happen, right? Now it's too late. Oh no. Oh no. I said what I said. Thank you for the follow, Blue Pegs, also Retro Knight. Imagine, dude. Editors? Yeah, yo, editors. I need to cut that out real quick. Fix this. Don't worry, my editors will clean that up, man. There's no way. That's too many iPhones and Mr. Beast burgers. Okay, but let's go ahead now. I think we've knocked out most of the drawing already, which I think is super dope. Let's go ahead and do I think we got one more guy right here. And then from here, we'll actually go in and what I'll do is what's it called? I'll start drawing some of these out more, so we'll actually put some details in, okay? We'll get some details in here and hopefully make it look interesting. Now, the first thing I want to do with you guys is I want to again lay down the thing that the character is going to be interacting with. In this case right here, this is going to be this chair, this kind of stool. So I'm going to be kind of just laying out here again, imagining this thing in perspective, but I'm not actually drawing out any grid or anything. I'm just utilizing my intuition based off of all the other things that we've drawn out here today, just to kind of place this a loose kind of space there for this box. Now, I'm not going to actually draw a chair because we don't need to draw a chair. We can just draw here a box, and then if I want to make it to a chair later, that is completely fine. We can do that. But for now, we're just going to make it into a box. Going to simplify it like that. And there you go. He's going to be sitting on this box here, and I'm using perspective there to kind of just put it in and match the rest of the scenery. Okay. Pretty loose. And the reason why you can do this, by the way, the reason why you can be super loose here is because, again, I want to remind you guys, perspective is not about specifically lining everything up into 1, 2-point, 3-point perspective. It's actually just about how you represent the world around you. And it's more important to understand the degree of the ellipse and understand how things move further up or down from the horizon line, because all of these things have multiple, if not infinite, converging vanishing points that you can use. So in a given scene like this, there can actually technically be like 30 different vanishing points. You get what I'm saying? Maybe not. Maybe you guys don't get what I'm saying because we didn't cover... Should I talk about rotating boxes in perspective? That's like one of the best ways to explain the infinite vanishing point concept. I'll think about it. I'll think about whether or not I should teach that today. You guys want me to go over that today? Let me know in the chat. If you're like, Kaycem, teach me the ways of rotating things in perspective. How do I rotate the box? How do I rotate people? Because you could imagine, right? Once you learn how to rotate a box, then you'll probably want to be able to do something like this, where you rotate a person in perspective, right? Because, you know, you want to do some animation and all of that fancy schmancy stuff, right? This is a quick drawing that we did. I forgot when we did this, but last year. Teach us the ways of the rotation. Maybe. Okay. I'll think about it, guys. I'll think about it because it might be a lot, okay? There might be a lot that we're covering today, but I don't know. Let me know in the chat if you're like, Kaycem, I think I'm ready for it. I think I'm okay. Puppy power. Yeah, here you go. Here's my doggo. I'm gonna drink some tea. Teach me the ways, Kaycem. Y'all can't rotate like Master K. Why does that sound dope? Cubeception with Kaycem. Also, Clap, welcome back in. All right, let me do a quick little JSON redemption. Here we go. Hey guys, it's Jason here. Jason here got a message here from Klopp. Klopp wanted me to let you guys know about Cubeception. All right, Kaycem's about to knock out some. Hold on.
Kaycem's about to knock out some Cubeception out here. There you go. I had a frog in my throat. Sheesh.
There it is. That was a Jason redemption. One Piece dance party break. Damn. Okay, we'll do that during the ad break. We'll knock it out during the ad break there. You heard that drawing a character rotating 360 is very difficult. I think it's definitely one of the more difficult things to do. And again, it's difficult because you have to have a good understanding of 3D volume and also a good understanding of perspective. Two very core and important fundamentals, right? But okay, let's go in and again we'll talk about all of that stuff maybe later. We'll talk about rotating boxes and stuff, because we did cover out here the degree of the ellipse and stuff, so we might actually go over as well how to rotate boxes in perspective. So fear not my nerdy viewers on the stream. We shall cover it today because y'all have requested it. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are like, it's a Tuesday, Kaycem, I'm here to learn. Tuesday. All right, but let's go in here now and let's knock out the forms right here. Now I'm going to go again and start building out some of the structure that we've got here, and I'm going to be changing this one up a little bit because I want to make it a little bit more kind of rotated in a 3/4 back view. But again, I'm gonna do the same process that we've been doing, right? Visualizing these 3D forms after we put them on the ground plane. So here, this is going to be the pelvis touching the chair, in this case a box, which is okay. So I'm going to be laying out here this box in perspective. We're going to be laying out that pelvis right there, and I'm using these basic forms now to slowly build up the character and actually make it look and make sense with the scene that we've got on here, right? Easy peasy. Yeah. I know this looks kind of crazy right now, but it'll all come together. Here we go. But yes, please do let me know, again, for those of you watching live in particular, do let me know if this stream has been helpful so far, if you feel like I'm going too fast or too slow. I'm trying to cover as much as I can out here on the stream without it being super dense, because I know that I think perspective is a tough topic that I know a lot of you have mentioned you struggle with. And so I want to make sure to not overwhelm you guys too much today. I want to try to, again, make it as accessible, whether you're a beginner or you're a little bit more professional and you're looking to, get a little bit more practice in and stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, I could use this refresher out here. But yeah, I don't know why I shifted it actually. I think what I needed to do was not shift it, but I needed to just shrink I just needed to do this. Okay, that's what I needed to do to give more space there for this guy. But then actually, you know what? I will shift it because I do want I want it to move away a little bit more here, so the composition makes a bit more sense. Okay, that actually looks better. All right, cool. Can you show how the twisting of the box in perspective? Yeah. We'll draw another pose here. Maybe we'll draw like another person from imagination standing or something. Maybe they'll twist their torso. That could be kind of cool. I'm gonna go. Oh, thanks for hanging out here, Natasha. Appreciate it. All of your sims are useful for as long as I'm here, since 2 weeks. I'm immediate. I learn a lot. Intermediate, and I learn a lot. I think you're going at a good speed. Thank you. I do genuinely appreciate feedback like that, guys, because again, I'm not just here to draw, right? I mean, I could, but I'm also here just because I want to help you guys out too. So getting feedback from you guys is, for me, very important. So I really appreciate all of that stuff. So here we're going to have a nice little box. This guy kind of like hunching over. Nothing too crazy, I would say. But let me kind of pull about a little bit more there. What is his line? What is that? Eh? Oh, shoot. Let me erase that. There you go. Also, hey, Lamosivers, welcome back in. Glad to have you on here. Welcome back in. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of draw this one out here. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll talk about rotating forms in perspective using this one. So we'll just kind of keep adding more characters in the scene, I think. But this time it'll be from imagination as opposed to, you know, it'll be imagination as opposed to having this reference that we have here. But you can kind of imagine right now, we're kind of laying out here all of these components of the structure. And let me actually, why is it so, I'm so confused. There you go. I'm gonna go like this. Make him a little bit bigger because he's closer to the foreground there. But yeah, we're just gonna be kind of piecing in here all of these kind of points of the character and stuff and having them kind of interact with all these other characters too. So this is actually also a great exercise for those of you who maybe struggle, maybe you're struggling with drawing multiple characters in a scene, right? You're kind of like, oh man, I don't know how to interact with them or how they can kind of work together. This is a great way, a good exercise to be able to do that. Because a lot of it also comes down to eye contact and all that stuff. So, yeah, a good exercise, I think, overall. Now, again, I'm changing this pose here so he's a little bit closer to them, but I'm just doing that mostly because I don't want to have to draw him so far away from everyone else. So I'm just changing it here for the composition to have him match a little bit better. Otherwise, he'll be like a little bit to the corner, and it's like whatever. It doesn't matter too much for this for the demo, you know. But let's draw the legs. I think the legs here are going to be really important. So here, because I'm actually altering here what he's doing from the reference that we have here, the legs will actually be a little bit different. But again, this is where having that practice that we covered about proportions and stuff can actually become really handy in this situation. Because now we're going to go in, we're going to start slapping on all of these forms that we've got here for the legs. We got here the knees going over on top this way. And then the legs are going to kind of go down here. And this is where that cylinder, that degree of the ellipse that we talked about earlier is going to kind of pay off, because we're seeing now how we're drawing out here the top plane of that lower leg right here. So we didn't actually draw the contact point, but I'm going to draw it in now. So here, maybe the leg is going to be fanning out this way. And that should be good enough for me right there. Maybe we'll make it his foot a little bit longer, but otherwise we've got the idea. Thank you for the follows today, Gia Marie, Mia May, Feldis Cat. I'd love to know, guys, for those of you who are following today, who came in here for the first time, how did you guys come across my stream today? Like, what brought you here? Was it from recommended that you saw me? Was it from my YouTube channel? Was it from the front page? I don't think I'm on the front page today, but I don't know. Maybe I'm on the front page again. Was it from a friend of a friend? Did somebody raid me that I just didn't realize, you know? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat how you guys came across my stream. And yeah, welcome in. Front page? Wait, am I actually on the front page today? Oh, well, welcome in from those of you who are coming in from the front page today. Nice, recommended. Always interested. You were just browsing the art category. Ah, yes, yes, a good old art category. That does exist. Indeed it does. I'm always on the front page? What the heck? No, I'm not. Really? Am I actually? Hold on, I'm kind of curious. Let me see. Actually? Let's see. Oh, I guess maybe I wouldn't see it though. Oh, I am. Maybe I wouldn't see it though. Oh, I am. Who's this? Inception. Who's this? Who are you? Inception. You're Inception. Who are you? I'm Kaycem. You're Inception. No, I'm not Inception. No, I'm Kaycem. No, I'm not Inception. Huh? No, I'm Kaycem. What? Huh? Crazy. What the heck? My head hurts. Who's this? Sheesh. Anyways, Kaycem meets Jacem. Yeah, who was that guy, dude? That's not me. I don't know who that dude is. Inception, man. Crazy. Anyways, welcome in everyone who's coming in here. Whether you guys are coming in from the front page or you're coming in from who knows what. Honestly, I don't know where you might be coming in from, but I appreciate all you guys coming in here today. Thank you so much for hanging out here, and I do genuinely hope you guys enjoy today's stream. It's not as spicy as some of my other streams, I know, but it's a good one. It's a good one we cover out here. Yeah, we got a boot camp out here, so if you guys are interested, again, we mostly teach art on Twitch, so if you guys are looking for some art education, all right, you're looking to learn, get some free art education out here from somebody who works in the industry, this is definitely that stream. But also, if you're just looking to hang out too, you're finding a community just to chill with, maybe you're looking for some art buddies. I know it's my stream, so I'm obviously going to be a little bit biased by it, but I do genuinely think we have one of the dopest art communities out here on Twitch. Everyone here is super engaged, super nice. We're all trying to help each other learn and grow and get better. So check out the Discord channel if you haven't yet, but also check out the Discord channel for the free stuff. We got a lot of free stuff out here that you guys can all grab, you know. But I will say this is a super dope community, and I'm very thankful for the community that we have out here on Twitch. I wouldn't be here without you guys. Just know that. Kaycem, do you also draw on paper sometimes? Yeah, I got a sketchbook that I draw on occasion, especially when I need to take a break, like my eyes need a break, if you know what I'm saying. In that case, then yeah, I'll usually go in and I'll draw. I will go and draw on my sketchbook, but not often. Mostly, so the thing is, mostly I draw. So you guys could imagine, I draw for stream for about 4 hours. Oh, also, why am I so zoomed in? I draw for stream for about 4 hours, and then I draw for work for about another like 8 hours. And so usually by the end of the day, I'm like so tired that I don't even want to draw at all. But sometimes on weekends when I'm like, I don't know, when I just want to draw, but I don't really want to grab my iPad or whatever. In those cases, yeah, I'll usually just draw in my sketchbook, because it's so much easier to just pull out a sketchbook and do that than to have to, pull up my tablet and whatnot. But it depends. It really depends on the day. Do you find it more difficult to draw with clean lines on traditional? It depends, honestly. I think with traditional, man, it's tough because I don't draw enough on traditional to be able to say, but I think sometimes, yeah, I find it difficult, but not always. But all right, guys, we've drawn in here our 4 characters in perspective. I like this shot a lot. I think it's a super dope scene. What I want to do with you guys now is I'm going to put away the reference now because I don't think we need it anymore. I'm going to go ahead and take all of these, not this one. But we're going to take all of these here. Okay. I'm going to make it bigger. And then let's go in and actually start drawing these characters on top now. Like, let's just actually put some characters on here, how I would do it if I was working for an animation scene or something like that, Do you reckon that someone who's drawn for years but feels like they've stagnated and don't know what to do could do better? Ah, that's a great question. Chat, how many of you feel this way? How many of you feel like, Kaycem, I've been drawing for years. I draw almost every day, but for some reason, I feel like I'm not growing. I've stagnated. I've plateaued. What am I doing wrong, Kaycem? Put an F in the chat, guys. You already know. Put an F in the chat if you feel this way or if you've ever felt this way. If you feel this way right now, definitely put an F in the chat. Kaycem, I've been drawing for years. I draw every day. I stagnated. What am I doing wrong? See? Exactly. It's as if they're quoting me exactly word for word. Here is what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say to that. And I'm also going to be just prepping out here. I'm going to be prepping out this scene here that we're working on now. But what I'll say to that is actually there's a lot of interesting reasons why you might be feeling this way. But also I can kind of help you guys out and explain a little bit about, explain to you guys how to actually deal with that kind of stuff, because I think it's a common problem. In all honesty, I think a lot of people deal with that problem of feeling like they're stuck, feeling like they're plateauing, right? Tell them the story. My story? I can tell my story, definitely, but I think this is more of a general advice I would give for this one. And it's not a dumb question. No, it's a great question, actually, and I'm glad you asked it. And I actually always encourage people to ask questions on my stream. I think it's actually a really great question, and because I think so many people deal with this problem, right? So here's what I'll say as advice to those of you who feel this way. Oftentimes, the reason why I hear a lot of artists talk about how they're struggling because they don't feel like they're growing or something, a lot of it comes down to this one thing. And this one thing is actually, I'll say it right now. The problem with this one thing is staying in your comfort zone. Now, you might be wondering, Kaycem, what does that mean, right? So imagine, I'll do it real quick over here. Imagine this is you. This is your little graph of your progress as an artist, okay? Here's your little progress as an artist. Now, when you first started out, you probably felt like you were learning so much. You were like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm growing so much because I went from drawing stick figures here and all of a sudden I am now able to draw some faces. I can now draw my favorite anime characters, right? And you're over here and maybe at some point right here, you're like, wow, I am good at drawing something, right? Maybe you're good at drawing male characters, right? Maybe you're good at drawing muscular people, right? Muscular dudes, or maybe you're good at drawing waifus, okay? Some of you might be here right now, right? You're like, I know how to draw something that I'm actually kind of happy with. But here's what ends up happening that I think becomes a little bit of a problem. As you start developing your skills a little bit further, you start to develop a comfort zone of things that you feel like you're good at and things you know you'll get praise for, whether that's through social media, through yourself, or through your peers, whatever have you, right? And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. You know that when you sometimes post something on Instagram, there are going to be certain things that will do well and things that won't do well, right? And sometimes you might get attached to those likes and numbers and views. But here's part of the problem that I feel like when people end up plateauing and how plateaus even exist. So you hit a point right here in your art journey where you tell yourself, you know what, maybe today I'm going to try to draw something different. Today, I'm good at drawing waifus. What about if I draw a male character, right? How many of you guys in the chat know what I'm talking about? Put an F in the chat. If you've ever said that to yourself, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna try to draw something different today, right? And so you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go draw something different. And so here you are trying that new little thing. But what's the problem? The moment you try to draw something new, it doesn't look as good as what you're good at drawing. And so what ends up happening? You tell yourself, oh, this is too bad. This is ugly. I need to stop. I'm gonna go stop and I'm gonna actually go back to the thing that I'm good at. So here was an opportunity for you to grow, but instead you go back here, right? And maybe you grew a little bit because you at least tried, right? And so you keep doing this every single time, right? You go in here, you try something new. You're like, actually, let me go back. It doesn't look as good. Let me go back in. It doesn't look as good, right? And so what ends up happening? Over time, look what's happening here. You're not actually growing as much because you're stuck on drawing things that you are already good at doing. But the part of the problem there is if you actually want to get better as an artist, if you actually want to improve as an artist, you have to be able to do the things that you're not good at such that then you become good at those things. You get what I'm saying? And so part of this question is like, Kaycem, how do I get better at being an artist, but also how do I keep drawing good things? That's the problem. The problem is if you are only stuck in this world where you have everything you have to make has to look good, you're never actually going to try to learn those new things that you want to learn that'll actually help you push further and get better. And I'm not saying that if you draw waifus, go draw muscular men. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. If anything, what I'm saying is, okay, let's say you like to draw female characters, right? Let's say you are good at drawing anime waifus. Maybe you try drawing children. Try to draw some female children. Maybe you draw some female elderly characters. Maybe you draw some female characters in a different style. You don't have to go completely left field. You can slightly make changes here, right? Like this, little small changes, but that is how you actually push yourself further and keep growing out there as you start to develop your skills, right? So it's a mindset thing. Let go of that ego that's telling you everything you have to do has to be perfect, and instead focus on the things that you believe you actually want to do. And you know what it is, right? For some of you, maybe it's about drawing hands, right? Maybe you've avoided drawing hands. You're like, oh man, here I am. I can draw a really cool portrait, right? A cool portrait drawing. But the moment I try to draw a body, oh man, it looks like trash. And so what ends up happening? You get really good at drawing faces for the rest of your art journey, but you don't know how to draw anything else. You try to put the hands behind your character's face or their back, or you cover one of the eyes, or you put big baggy clothing on your characters because you don't know how the anatomy works. You get what I'm saying, guys? So put an F in the chat and let this be the day that you guys realize this is how you want to grow, okay? If you want to get better, you want to get stuck out of that plateau, this is what you need to do. Okay, let go, fail, and don't worry about whether or not something looks good. But there you go. That's my little muscular waifu diagram. Hopefully that was helpful. I know Road as traveled, you asked that question, but I know this was something that probably a lot of you guys might be dealing with. But let me know if this was helpful to hear. It was something that I had to do, and you know, it might be a tough journey, because for me, I didn't draw for 6 years. It took me 6 years of quitting art, telling myself I was done with drawing altogether. And it took me 6 years to come back and say, you know what? Let me start from the beginning. Let me start to learn how to draw the things that I think I actually need to do to get better. And then from there, that's when I actually saw a lot of growth. Now, I know that for you guys, maybe some of you are new here. Maybe you've never heard my story. By the way, fun fact, I actually used to be a software engineer. I wanted to be an artist growing up, but unfortunately, a lot of things happened, primarily financially, that didn't allow me to become an artist. And so I decided to not pursue art anymore. I became an engineer, got a degree in computer science, all of that stuff. And it wasn't until more recently that I had to kind of relearn everything and teach myself again, everything to be able to now work full-time in the animation industry, which is what I do now. But again, a lot of it was being able to let go and just give yourself the opportunity to learn, you know, kind of like when you were younger, because you guys remember, right? When you were first starting out as a kid, you weren't worried about whether or not your drawing was supposed to look super good or whether or not it was supposed to get likes on Instagram. You just were happy that you drew something that looked a little bit better than a stick figure. You get what I'm saying? Try to find that energy again. Find that energy, find that type of drive and motivation, and do that on a regular, do that on your regular basis. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Thank you for the sub, by the way, Kachan. Thank you so much for the 2 months. Always appreciated. Thank you for the follows, Kill Like Eagle, Olietamu, Brawly, and everyone else coming in here. Glad to have you guys on here. Let's see. It's nice to hear that it's okay for your art to not look perfect. Oh yeah, no, it's it's 100%. If anything, your art shouldn't look perfect all the time, because I always tell people this: if people come to me and they say, "Man, Kaycem, I got nothing to improve on. Everything I make is perfect. Everything I make is good," I'm actually more suspicious of that. Because that either means that you are a god tier artist, that at that point you've hit the end of your journey and you've mastered everything you've wanted to master, or you are not able to see your own mistakes and see where you can improve, right? Everything must be perfect. I used to be that way when I was a lot younger. I used to think I was so good. I would have teachers tell me, hey, maybe you should learn some anatomy. Maybe you should learn some perspective, you know, learn some of this. And I'd be like, nah. I draw my anime characters the way that I want to. I'm going to draw my Dragon Ball Z and my Naruto Uzumaki. Don't tell me what to do. This is my style, right? I was super stubborn. I thought I was so good that I didn't need to listen to anybody else. And that was just delusional. That was just a little bit of arrogance, you know? Yeah, this is just my style. This is just how I draw. I like to draw my characters hiding their hands, okay? It's not because I can't draw them, all right? You know what I'm saying? It happens. Yeah, everyone's been there, 100%. We're talking about that Kim Jong-yi level. And here's the thing, even artists like Kim Jong-yi are constantly practicing every day, right? I personally think there's no such thing as like god tier artists, like you've hit everything. I think even the professionals will talk about how they practice every day. They study from life. They try new mediums, right? So there's always so many different things you can do in your art journey. So I'm always like, you know, there's always something to improve on if you want to. You don't have to, but personally, I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. And I think that's the fun thing, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to improve your art and explore, because I think that's, again, for me, part of the satisfaction is being able to try new things and develop my skills further. I think that's where I derive a lot of satisfaction as an artist. When in doubt, you one finger outie. Yeah. True. When in doubt, you one finger outie. So right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of going in here and I'm showing you guys how I take these like mannequin structures that we've kind of established. And I'm actually just kind of, you know, piecing in a little bit more of the character, right? So adding in some actual face structure and all of that stuff. But you'll notice even when I'm drawing a face, I'm still keeping in mind here, pay attention to this, I'm actually still keeping in mind the perspective, right? So perspective is always relevant no matter where, what it is you're drawing. Whether you're drawing a character right here, anything with 3D form will conform to some form, to some part of perspective. Yeah, exactly. Kaycem Flush. Did I ever take a traditional animation class? I actually did. A long time ago. I took a course in Burbank. It was like a 12-week course on traditional animation, 2D traditional, using a light table and all of that stuff. And we went over kind of the stuff I'm talking to you guys about now, like understanding 3D volume, understanding how perspective works and how you can rotate things in perspective, because really that's kind of all it is, right? It's about perspective and 3D forms. All the other bells and whistles that we talk about on my streams, like anatomy and stuff, like that stuff goes on top of all of that. Tintin, thank you for the follows too. Perspective has been folding you. Well, today's stream, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, hopefully seeing what we did today, seeing the demo that we covered out here, hopefully it was somewhat helpful to you guys. I know that it's not like a full-on demo on like how to specifically do perspective, because I think this is primarily focused on character design, but I do feel like how I approach things hopefully might be helpful to see. I think in general, being able to do laying out these kind of things, I think is great. When you're working on your studio work, what's the music that you listen to? I, interestingly enough, don't listen to music. And the reason why is because I'll have to watch an episode. So if I'm working on a scene or something, I'll have to like replay the audio for that episode, replay the dialogue, the expression of the characters, what are they doing, what are they saying. And so because I'm always doing that when I'm working on a scene and stuff, it's hard for me to go alternate between Spotify and whatever. So I just don't listen to any music, because it's so tedious to have to switch back and forth between that. But yeah, hey, Takino, welcome back in. Also, thank you for the follow, DDL. Appreciate all the follows today, guys. So there is something, okay, so I know we talked about rotating boxes. Maybe we'll talk about that today. I'm trying to think of whether or not we should cover that today or maybe like another stream. rotating boxes in perspective. How much time do we got? We technically got some time. Hey, Dark Matter, welcome in. But yeah, I would say for those of you guys that were tuning in and stuff, this is day 22 of my boot camp. If you guys want to see all the previous days of my boot camp and stuff, I actually recommend my YouTube channel. So that way you'll kind of get the beginner kind of topics that we talk about, like how to draw the face, how to draw the general structure of the face leading up to the anatomy of the face and all of that stuff. This right here is definitely going to be a little bit more on the advanced side of things, though I'm still trying to make it as beginner friendly as I can. But you could imagine as we start to go further in this boot camp that we have here that I've made, some of the topics are going to get more complicated naturally, and that's just the nature of it. So I do apologize for those of you guys who are complete beginners out here. I'm not trying to isolate you guys out. It's just that, you know, there's only so much beginner content that I can teach before we start having to push it out a little bit more and make it slightly more advanced each time. But I will try to make it as accessible as I can. We can try to rotate a plane in perspective. Yeah, but honestly, rotating the boxes is... when I say rotating, I'm definitely going to be going over like rotating like a square. So we're going to start with rotating a square in perspective, and then how that leads into rotating kind of more complex forms like a box, which then turns into rotating like the human body, for example. Boop, 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 boop. But yeah, maybe we'll do some of that actually. I'll do it maybe after we finish drawing this one out here. So again, this is just me. I'm just showing you guys right now how I'm actually taking these simplified mannequins and how I'm adding in just a little bit more form and kind of organic kind of, you know, shapes and stuff to make it look a little bit more human and less like a bunch of boxes that we've drawn out here today, right? So just kind of piecing in here these structures, and overall I think this is kind of how I again visualize drawing things in perspective, though this whole mannequin approach may not necessarily be what I do every time when I am drawing something in perspective. So even the box positions look good. Oh, you mean of what we drew? Thank you. Yeah, I do. I mean, I do try to, again, the box position is, I think, the key thing. If you can make the boxes look good, all I'm really doing is on top here, I'm just adding in some organic shapes to match the anatomy, which we've talked about already in the past. And we can talk a little bit about anatomy today too, for those of you who are interested. But again, it's not like the main focus of today's stream. What is this song? Why does this keep going into my playlist? I keep removing that song from my playlist and it keeps coming back. I hate that beep boop song. How do you know what the distance between the torso box and the hip box are? Ah, yes. That is actually covered in, what day was that? This day right here. Maybe this one. Easiest hack. The easiest hack you can do right now for drawing the torso, again, is just imagine if you had a square. Watch this. It's this easy. Imagine if you had a square, okay? Take that square. Oh, hold on, wrong layer. I'll do right here. Take the square right here. Copy, paste. Flip it down. Cut it halfway. That's it. That's literally it every time. This right here is the clavicle right there. 10th rib, acis, pelvis. I'll show you guys what I mean. Watch this, okay? I'll do it on a new. I'll do it on a. I'll find a reference really quick. Let's do this one. We actually talked about proportions yesterday, right here. Check out yesterday's stream where I actually talked about proportions, but watch this. I'll put all this away. Okay. I'll do two references, two different models real quick for you guys. Okay, watch this. You're gonna go in here, find the clavicle, right? So here's that clavicle right here. Nice and easy. Find that 10th rib right here. Okay. Boom, boom. Watch this. Duplicate it. We're gonna go ahead and flip it vertical here. Look at that. See that? Right here, halfway mark. Boom. Watch this. I mean, with her torso is rotated, so let me rotate it real quick. That's it. You don't have to flip it. I just flip it down because it's easier to move. You see what I'm saying? Boxes. That's it. Easy peasy. Crazy. Again, I would recommend you guys check out the stream that I did yesterday. I covered proportions. Literally, that's all I did yesterday. I talked about proportions for the human body, how to simplify it super easily, keep your consistency while you're doing complicated stuff like this, right? While you're doing all this crazy proportions and different poses of your character and all that stuff. It's all in the proportions. Yeah. Feels like you're seeing the Matrix. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? I was wondering if the anti-glare screen protector softens the screen image and lower contrast and saturation. I don't think so, to be honest, because it's pretty good at what it's pretty transparent, and I don't think it actually impacts it too much. But I don't know. I don't think so, personally. It's all on the hips. The hips don't lie. Yeah. The hips don't lie. All right, so I'm gonna go in here. I'm just adding in little details, and you can kind of see here, like I'm just drawing a random person here with, you know, with the hair and all that stuff. So maybe we can have her hair flow down this way, right? You can kind of see here. All I'm doing now, I'm building up all these details that we had earlier. All of that was just from the basic shapes that we established earlier out here. And you can change this to whatever style you want. If you want to go for a more anime style, you want to go for a more realistic style, which is kind of what we're doing right now. This is more of a realistic look here, right? But yeah, again, you can kind of mix and match here. Do a bunch of different things, but again, it all stems from I think just being able to draw those primitive shapes, and I think that'll lead to some fun illustrations. Okay. No, not not my mentor. I have other mentors now, thankfully. Yeah, but I finished my mentorship over there probably 2 years ago. Actually, it's been a while, maybe even last year. So pretty good. But yeah, basic shapes. Yes. Since this is a character design, you should make all the characters different ages to show how to go about that kind of thing. Yeah. So we're gonna be going over different ages on another day, but we could do this one on this day here as well. But yeah, actually, we're gonna have a whole 30-day boot camp dedicated to drawing different types of characters of different ages. We're gonna have male, female. We're also gonna be covering different body types, so muscular, fat, skinny, all of that stuff. So we're actually gonna have a full 30-day boot camp dedicated just for drawing different types of characters. But I think for this one, yeah, we could go in here and draw a few different types of characters just for fun. I think that could be interesting. It's been a while. Yes. Where are the children, Kaycem? You know, every time I draw children out here on Twitch, people are like, yo, Kaycem's breaking down children. Well, yes, we'll be drawing more children characters probably in a bit after we finish this boot camp, or maybe towards the end of actually. We might dedicate one day just for fun. Just to kind of see, you know. Do I draw in Clip Studio? Yeah, for work I do. So professionally, I use Clip Studio Paint for for studio work. But personal work, I mostly just use Procreate. But yes, for Powerhouse really loves Clip Studio. When did you start to draw? About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I should say. Though I always tell people that's kind of a misnomer, because technically speaking, I took a 6-year break. So I didn't, maybe a little bit even longer than that, because I didn't draw for about 6 years straight. And this is while I was working as a software engineer, and I'd already given up doing art altogether. But I started drawing again back in 2020, just relearning how to draw and all that fundamental stuff. And then more after that in 2021 was when I started to really take it seriously and eventually start working professionally in the industry. But again, it's hard to say, because if you're asking me when did I start drawing seriously, I would say about 2-3 years ago. But if you're asking me how long I've been drawing, I probably drew when I was a kid. That was like when I first started drawing, watching all those, you know, cartoon shows, Saturday morning cartoons and stuff. Will you ever go over Procreate shortcuts? Ooh, that's a tricky one, because I actually don't think there's too many shortcuts, and what I do use is kind of a custom shortcuts. So maybe we will. Yeah. How much did you forget after those 6 years? Well, I forgot everything. I wanted to learn from the beginning, because I felt like what I did know was not good. We talked about this earlier, but you know, there's so many times when we as artists, we want to get better quicker, that sometimes we're willing to cut corners, you know? And so when I was younger, I definitely cut a lot of corners. I didn't learn the fundamentals properly. And so I knew how to draw certain things well, but I didn't really actually felt like I knew how to draw things in general. And that was part of my problem, was I felt like I just didn't learn the fundamentals properly enough, to the point where I needed just to learn again from the beginning, just learn from the ground up. And so what I tell people is, you know, it's much better to learn the fundamentals properly than to try to make those shortcuts to get better quicker, kind of thing. How do you measure proportions in a gesture that isn't standing straight, like sitting? Oof, that's a tough one. Let me think. How do you measure proportions? I mean, because I did it just now, right? I'm doing it now on this drawing. But I think a lot of it is intuition, but also I think a lot of it you can use some relative shapes and stuff. So I think for like this girl here that we're drawing right now, I'm using a lot of the different areas here. So like I'm looking at the head and how big her head is. And then from that head, I'm going in and I'm kind of like changing some of the proportions of the arms and the legs in relation to all that. So it's kind of tough to say. It's a good question. I think it just takes a little bit of practice and studying. So practice working on those forms, and then you'll kind of slowly build intuition. But I think there are ways to really master getting the proportions right the first time, you know. Also really quick, guys, I do run ads on my stream every hour, and one's gonna be running right about now. So if you do get an ad, thank you again for sticking around for the ad break. They do help keep my streams monetarily viable, and allow me to do what I'm doing out here on Twitch. So if you do get an ad, really do appreciate you sticking around. If you don't want to see any ads, consider subscribing or using a Prime sub out here. But either way, thank you again, and appreciate the support. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll dedicate a day. I will dedicate a day for you guys where we actually go over sitting poses and dynamic poses. Would you guys want me to do that? I think on that day, I'll be able to better give you guys tips and tricks on how to actually measure proportions and stuff for more dynamic poses, because we actually did that a while back where I showed you guys how to do some crazy poses like this, right? Like, how do you measure the proportion for something like this where it's super foreshortened and the leg is coming right at you, right? So what I could do is I can dedicate a specific day for drawing sitting poses and also dynamic poses. And then on that day is when I can really, I think, give you guys more tips. Yeah. That's a great question. Also, thank you so much for the sub, Rachel. Rachel Magic Ninja out here with the primer. Always appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Destiny, what's going on here? Why are you making that face? Huh? Why are you making that face? Destiny's wilding right now. I know why you're making that face. I'm doing well, Seuss. We're doing some drawings today. We're drawing some poses, and honestly, I think this is coming out great. Again, we're doing a lot of different things out here with all of these, so I know this might be a little bit complicated today, but I do hope it was somewhat helpful. Let me know, please, in the chat if you thought this was helpful to you, or if you were kind of like, Kaycem, this is a little bit too advanced for me. You know, I would like some easier stuff, because I can try to find some easier demos. I kind of wanted to do something difficult today because I was like, man, you know what? I keep giving chat all these easy poses and easy drawings. Let's see how they handle the tougher stuff out here. These dynamic kind of compositions. All right. You lurk a bit. Thanks for hanging out, Clap. Appreciate that. I'm glad it's not something super simple, because it's something lingering in my mind a while back. Oh, you mean this one? Like doing these type of things? All right, but there you go. We drew one pose. Let's take a look. Wow, mannequin to girl. Sheesh. Let me kind of fix up right here. I'm just gonna add a few little folds, kind of like that. Thank you for the follow, Cinnamon. How is your dog? My dog is doing well. Yeah, my dog is he's doing all right. You guys can kind of see him there. He's laying down like a cutie boy. I'm gonna give him a treat. See if he let's see if he comes over. All right, come here, buddy. Let's go say hi to people on the chat. His name is Arrow, by the way, for those of you curious. Thank you for the follows too, Cinnamon, Sumi Master, and everyone coming in here. Hey, bud, come here, jump up. Yes, good job. There he is, guys. My dog, his name is Arrow. He's a Nikita. Not Arrow like Arrow Sensei or Arrow Senin. Arrow like bow and arrow, like the Avatar. ARROW. Right, buddy? Kiss. 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 Come on, kiss. Ah, you're a bully, man. You're a bully. Stop. It's okay. No means no. Hey, don't report me. What the heck? Oh man, look at him. He's happy too. He knows what he did. He knows what he did, man. You can't. He's just not feeling it. Kaycem, you can't force love. Yeah, maybe I need to learn from you guys. You're right. You're onto something, guys. He knows he's on camera. He's like, nah. You didn't give me enough treats for this. Why do you do this to me? He always does this too. He always bullies me on stream. I swear he's super affectionate off stream. I think it's because he knows that I'm on stream right now, so he's kind of like, he's not actually giving me attention. Yeah, I would have gotten it for some treats, 100%. All he did was enforce his boundaries. All right, guys. All right. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Sad. It's all right. It happens. Okay, but cool. Let me go ahead and color this one. And then what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about rotating forms and perspective. And I think that'll be a good kind of way to kind of wrap this one up, because I think this is a pretty good topic to talk about. But I wanted to at least show you guys how I draw, how I would take these mannequin structures that we have here right now and actually, you know, turn them into more like a human-like structure here, right? So giving you guys some of those juicy components here. I think she turned out great. I think she looks cool. She looks like she looks like she could bully you, if that's what you're looking for. What's the bed for? It's for decor, okay? I know he doesn't use it. He doesn't use his bed at all. It's whatever, okay? We bought him a bed, nice and high quality bed, and he only uses it like sparingly. But it's okay. I think it's also just because he likes, I think he just likes how cool the floor is. It's a nice kind of cool feeling, especially when you're living here in Los Angeles, where it can get super hot and stuff. So that's cool. Hey yo, how's it going, Avox? Hey yo, hey, what? Hey yo, the bed is for me. Yeah, right. Sounds about right. Sweet. Oh, also, I should probably give give a little intro of myself. For those of you guys who are coming in here for the first time and you're curious about me or my streams or what I do or who I am and stuff, I feel like we got some probably some new peeps out here today. So let me do a quick little intro. Chat's bullying K today. That's not even new. They do that every stream. Whatever, it's okay. I bully you guys by giving you hard things to draw. Okay, there you go. It's all balanced. You know what? The harder the warm up is, the harder the exercise is, the more difficult. The more you guys bully me. I'm noticing it now. I see it now. If I give you guys an easy day, chat is super nice. You're like, wow, Kaycem gave us how to draw portraits. So chill. Hard day, like nah, Kaycem, you're too mean to us, man. You're too mean. How could you do this to us? But okay, let's do a quick little intro for those of you guys who are here. No raffle. Raffles only happen if we hit 1,000 bits out here in my stream. But here's a quick little intro for those of you who are here for the first time. Welcome in, guys, to the Kaycem crew. My name is Kaycem. I am a Filipino art streamer here on Twitch, and I teach everything from anatomy, perspective, gesture, to all things related to character design. And I also work full-time in the animation industry for the studio that made Castlevania. Right now, I'm actually prepping to work as a designer on shows like Castlevania, Legend of Korra, and Invincible. So if you guys are interested in some free art education, you like animation, or you are interested in my dog who is sleeping over there, he's not sleeping right now, but do leave a follow out here on Twitch. And also, if you're watching from YouTube, like and subscribe to the video as well. But yeah, welcome in bots too, by the way. Glad to have you on here today. Yeah, we're just covering drawing characters in perspective today. So you guys can see here, I laid out a few different kind of characters, and this is kind of how I would do it. Ta-da, look at that. Nice and easy, right? So how do you take this mannequin and then boom, add a little bit of foreshortening, add a little bit of, all of that stuff out here. That's kind of all it is. If you think about it, foreshortening, add in some depth. Maybe we can do a little bit of that. We can add some shadows right here to kind of push it out just a little bit more too. Oh, hold on. I forgot this should be filled out actually. There you go. But yeah, that's kind of what we're covering today. But actually right now, we're going to go ahead and also, let's go talk a little bit about rotating boxes in perspective, which I think is a very valuable technique and arguably one that I think gets overlooked along with the other things we've covered out here today, like the degree of the ellipse and all the other, stuff out here. Okay. Whew. All right. How are you guys feeling, by the way? Are you guys okay? Are you guys good so far? Is this too much info? Not enough info? Yeah, I'll talk about the boxes and rotations. We'll do it right now. Who are my favorite artists? Oof. Great question. Currently right now, so I have a long list of artists, but I would say the artists who inspire me in the industry that I work in, which is the animation industry, has to be for sure Chris Copeland, Phil Bourassa, and maybe Malcolm Wope. Oh man, Malcolm Wope. Whew. Man's insane with his animations. I'm using Procreate right now for those of you wondering, and I do have brushes as well that you guys can actually download as well too. Yeah, that's a great question. I'd love to know for you guys, who are the artists that inspire you guys? Lay them out in the chat for me. I want to see. And also, great. Thanks for the reminder. I do have I am sponsored by Skillshare this month, guys. Even if you guys are not interested in Skillshare, if you just click on the link, it actually helps me out a lot because they even look at that stuff as well. So click on that if you guys are interested. But also, maybe you might find that you actually like it. Maybe you click on it, you're like, you know what? It's free. It's a free month of Skillshare. Maybe I'll give it a try. But even if you just click on that link, tremendous help out here on my streams. But yeah. But okay, we're gonna get onto it, guys. This is the one of the more secret topics right here. This is the infamous technique of drawing stuff in perspective. Now, what I'm gonna show you guys is the easiest way to draw something rotating in perspective. Okay, so imagine, first of all, let's go imagine we had a little box right here in perspective. Nice and easy. Okay, look at that. Okay, or not even a box. We just have here a square in perspective. And you might be wondering, Kaycem, how do I rotate this square in perspective, right? Here's the easiest way to do this. I want you guys to take here, put like a little circle around this thing, right? So draw like a circle in perspective here. And then all you got to do is actually this, okay? I'm going to take this and I'm going to say, you know what? Let's go rotate this square, maybe like 45 degrees this way. Is that right? 45 degrees? Or no. Let's do something more arbitrary. A random degree here. Maybe like 15 degrees or something like this. Okay. So we're going to take this point here, but actually before then, let's go find here the center line of this box. This is how you find the center line of a square or anything really. You just kind of go across there, the two sections. And then what I want to do now is I'm going to go in back to this point and I'm going to go use this center line here to kind of establish my own kind of corners here that we're going to be using, right? So I'm rotating this right there. And then from here, what I can do now is I can also go in and I'm going to rotate it this way as well, right? So what am I doing exactly? One, I'm actually doing, or actually, you know what? Yeah, no, we'll do it like this. So one here, I'm establishing the points here in of the square, but you'll notice how easy this is. We're just kind of going in and we're rotating it a little bit and I'm eyeballing some of it there. But now we actually have here now the same square and it's rotated in perspective. But there's actually more that we've done here because whenever you rotate something in perspective, let's say the square, what we're also doing, guys, check this out. we're actually creating new vanishing points here for this, box and stuff to go in perspective. So technically speaking, did I even line this up right? Okay, so this actually should probably go further back. So if this is the point that we have here, and this is the point that we have here, I should probably line it up like this and then go like this now, and this will actually help me find. So it's actually a little bit further this way, so just a little bit more. There you go. But I'm actually establishing here new vanishing points for every time I rotate this thing in perspective. So what does this mean? It means that there is an infinite number, okay? There's an infinite number of vanishing points here that you can draw for your boxes, for anything out here in the planes that you're drawing, right? And so I could keep rotating it, and each time I rotate it, we're going to get more and more points here on the grid on this horizon line. So you might be wondering, Kaycem, why does this work? I don't really understand what's going on here. So imagine it like this, okay? If you took a square, right? And if you were to rotate that square, what is actually happening when you rotate that square? Notice here how when you rotate this square, watch this. Whee! It's always going to be touching some point of that circle there. You can do this as well with rectangles, right? So here's a rectangle shape right here. You can do the same thing, right? Whee! Right? You can make it a triangle shape, whatever have you. Some arbitrary shape like this, right? Whee! You get what I'm saying? And so, so all we're really doing is we're taking that same concept and we're laying it out right here. We're laying it out right here, but now a little bit in perspective. And the reason why this is important, again, guys, is because it teaches you, it shows you that you don't have to be limited to 1 to 2 point perspective or 3 point perspective. You can actually create an infinite number of perspective points, vanishing points here every time you rotate this square. And then now all we have to do is go in here like this, add a little box like so, right? And then what do we got? We got here our box. Look at that. See? You see what I'm saying? So there you go. That is actually how you rotate boxes in perspective. I hope that made some sense to you guys. I know that this was like a bit of an abridged kind of tutorial on it, but the reason why it's important, again, is because I always try to show people that you don't need to draw everything in 1 to 2 point perspective. And then also, this is the other thing that I wanted to cover as well, which is the degree of the ellipse. These are the other things. These are actually, if I were to teach perspective, which is I guess what we're doing right now, these are the things that I would want you guys to focus on. Okay, focus on understanding how things change the further away you get from the horizon line, but also understand that there's no such thing as specifically 1 to 2 point perspective. There's an infinite number of perspectives on the horizon line, and all you got to do is do a little spin. Okay, take your little square here like this, give it a little go, and then go like this. Whee! Whee! But you do it in perspective. So you take that perspective and then you go, whee! Whee! Get what I'm saying? There you go. So if you're watching from YouTube, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. And otherwise, let's continue here on Twitch. All right, so for those of you watching here on Twitch, questions in the chat. This is the opportunity here. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, whether it's about the perspective we just covered, or all of that stuff. How to multiply distances in perspective. Oh, multiply distances in perspective. I don't know necessarily about that, but I will tell you guys this other tip here. So how do you actually draw a box further away? So here's a cool tip, cool tip that you can do for actually drawing. Like, let's say you want to extend this box in perspective. Watch this. You take this point right here, you take that center line that we have here, go like this, go like this, right? We bring that back here like this. That's it. This right here is the new box, but now it's in perspective. See that? There you go. And you can keep doing that again. So you can keep doing that again with this one now. You want to extend it further, you can go like this. make another box, right? And you've moved it further back in perspective, but it's still the same box, right? So now this box right here is the same size box, and everything. It's just further away in perspective there. So there you go. That's another cool little tip there for those of you guys who are there. Do you also teach lighting and rendering? We do cover some lighting, rendering not so much, because again, I work in 2D animation, and in 2D animation, we don't necessarily do a lot of rendering. Background artists do, but characters and character designers and animators don't really do too much rendering, I would say. It's kind of like constructing a 2-point perspective. Kind of, yes. Though again, I want to remind you guys, like the whole reason why I'm showing you guys today's stream is to show you to be more flexible with your perspective and not feel like you have to be reliant on putting everything specifically on a grid. If you guys watch back this video that we covered today, I barely drew any vanishing points or anything. I mostly used my intuition and understanding of how far things are from the horizon line to be able to draw these things in a relative manner, right? I'm not really lining things up because I think it's actually more natural that way to draw that representation of reality. What's the point of crossing lines instead of just extending the existing ones towards the vanishing point? Yes, because it's the same size. So remember that this right here, that's a great question too. So if you just extend your line like this, right, and you keep going all the way to the vanishing points like this, you don't necessarily know how far away this is. And so this is just basic geometry, technically. So if you take this center line right here, and if you just go like this will actually, here, I'll do it like this. This is basic geometry, unrelated to perspective. But here's that center line like this. If you want to draw the same, sorry, this is a math lesson now. But if you take this center line right here, and if you go like this right here, the thing that's created is technically going to be the same on the other side, right? So this box right here that we just drew is the same box here on the left side. All we're doing is we're doing that in perspective. Yeah. Sorry, I know, geometry lesson. Some of y'all like, yo, what is this, dude? I thought this is an art class. Help. Get me out. This is my nightmare.